Well, good morning and welcome everyone to Administrative Issues and Updates on February 17th, 2026. County Administrator Gary Schmidt, would you please call the roll for us?
Yes, Chair, thank you. Commissioner Schrader is out of the office this morning. Roll call online. Commissioner Savas.
Present.
In the room, Commissioner Helm.
Here.
Commissioner West.
Here.
Chair Roberts.
Here. Thank you, Gary. Would you please introduce our first agenda item for us?
Yes, thank you, Chair. First item today is Sunrise Corridor Rock Creek Project Federal Grant Letter of Support. Dan Johnson, Director of Transportation and Development, will present, and there's a draft letter in your packet. Go ahead, please, Dan.
Thank you, Chair Administrator Schmidt, pardon me. Chair Roberts, Commissioners, we are here to talk about one of your strategic priorities, which is the Sunrise Gateway Corridor. If you recall, DTD recently completed the Sunrise Community Corridor Visioning Plan, significant community engagement as a part of that effort. And also, that effort basically did a more focused look at the various stages of construction for that particular project. And I want to highlight the fact that the Sunrise Rock Creek Junction reconfiguration project was stage 2 of that project that was vetted with the community. We are here essentially to request from the Board of County Commissioners a letter of support for a $25 million ask via the U.S. Department of Transportation. It's what they call a BUILD grant, which is better known as Better Utilizing Investments to Leverage Development. Essentially, this is a partnership between Clackamas County and the City of Happy Valley to leverage funds to secure federal funding for that particular project. Approximate figures, we're looking at approximately $25 million from the federal government. We're looking at $4 to $5 million from the county, and about 1.25 from the City of Happy Valley. We're working on a memorandum of understanding right now between the three parties, meaning ODOT, Clackamas County, and Happy Valley, to basically memorialize or get consensus around roles and responsibilities. This is primarily an ODOT facility, so we'll be looking for funding for that facility and how we work together as we move this project forward. So it's a simple ask today, and that ask is for authorization for the board chair to approve the letter before you for consideration.
All right. Commissioner West.
Hi, Dan. Thank you. A quick question is, the federal grant for $25 million for FY 2026, does that go through the Department of Transportation? Is that through, does our delegation, does that go through the same way like appropriation spending? I'm just kind of curious where that federal funding comes from.
So the build is a grant program with criteria that are evaluated by staff, to the best of my knowledge.
So Transportation Department staff?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So it's a competitive environment nationwide. These projects come in, they base them off certain criteria and then authorize expenditures and authorization for grants.
Have we ever applied for this before?
Yes, I believe we applied for the build program for a particular bridge project in the past. But now we're looking to relocate and refunnel that action into this particular intersection.
Have we ever won?
No.
Okay. Let's keep trying.
Not that I'm aware of. I can't say never, but.
It's a yes from me, Chair, if you ask.
All right. Any other questions, comments?
No.
Commissioner? All right. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the BUILD grant letter of support.
All second.
All right. Commissioner Helm has moved to approve the BUILD grant letter of support.
I don't think they need a motion. Do you need a motion?
No, I'm sorry, Chair. Commissioner Savas had his hand raised. I missed that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Didn't see that.
Yeah, the only thing, Dan, if you think it's appropriate, some verbiage that at ultimate build out, the Sunrise Corridor will open up X amount of thousands of acres of land. I forgot what that number is, but that's the only thing I think that, if it's appropriate, that's possibly missing.
Yeah, we can add that verbiage.
Okay. So I ask for an amendment, a friendly amendment to the motion.
All second.
Okay.
And Commissioner Savas, what specifically did you want to amend to it? I want to make sure I'm clear on that, I guess.
Well, I'll let Dan and his staff get the exact verbiage, but some reference to at ultimate build out, this will open up or expose or X amount of acres of land that is currently greenfield or something to that effect.
We're clear. We're very clear, yeah. This is a discussion we've been having about the Sunrise Corridor and the ability, when it gets constructed, it will open up and make available the lands to the east.
So you're going to add a line, a sentence to the letter expressing that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so I had Commissioner Ellis move to approve the build grant, letter of support. Commissioner West has seconded that with an amendment in reference to build out, more details to come. Is there any further discussion on this issue? All right, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner Savis.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you.
All right, thank you, Dan. And Gary, what's next?
Thank you. Next, City of Wilsonville support letter for a earmark request. Tony Holowetzky, Director of Public and Government Affairs, will present, and there's a draft in your packet. Go ahead, please, Tony.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Another letter of support, this time for the City of Wilsonville, and they're also seeking congressionally directed spending and submitting an application for the preliminary design of the Boone Bridge Replacement Project. And they are seeking funding for the next phase of site review and design for that replacement project, which would construct a new seismically resilient bridge at a southbound auxiliary lane to reduce congestion and other important upgrades. There's a local match for the project, $1 million awarded by the 2025 legislature, and ODOT would be the fund recipient, and the City of Wilsonville has ODOT support for this request. So we are recommending that you approve the letter of support for City of Wilsonville's CDS application.
Chair, I move to approve the letter of support for the City of Wilsonville CDS application.
Second.
Excuse me. Commissioner West has moved to approve the letter of support for the City of Wilsonville CDS application. Commissioner Ellis seconded it. Is there any further discussion? Go ahead.
I want to thank Everett from the City of Wilsonville for reaching out and having a conversation with me about this letter. This has been a longstanding issue. It's incredibly important policy position for the City of Wilsonville. I can tell you from somebody, and so can Chair Roberts, that live in that area, it is far overdue. That bridge absolutely needs these upgrades. It is not only a severe safety hazard if we ever have a Cascadia event or anything major, it will cut off the metro area from Charbonneau and the southern part of the Willamette Valley. And that bridge needs to be upgraded because it is a significant bottleneck that inhibits industry and transportation for residents alike and emergency vehicles. It has been a main focus when I was on the council of Wilsonville. It continues to be a main focus for Wilsonville and many of our legislators. So I'm glad they're going forward with this. Happy to make a motion to support it, and I'm happy that this is going forward as a resident of Wilsonville.
All right, thanks, Commissioner. All right, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner Savis.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thanks, Tony. Gary, what's next?
All right, next is the Sheriff's Office Finance Work Group membership. You have discussed this twice already. Today is to help select members of this work group, in particular, who from the Board of County Commissioners will serve. There will be 2 of you. And next, who from the County Budget Committee will serve. There'll be 2 of them. All the other seats have been filled by either the sheriff's appointment or my appointment or the represented employees from their leadership. So let's start with the Budget Committee first, please. Of the current Budget Committee, all 4 public members are interested in serving. So my ask of you today is to please pick 2 of them who will serve on this work group. Open for your discussion, please.
Go ahead, Commissioner West.
I've thought about this over the weekend. I think the sheriff office clearly picked who they would like to represent them. I think those are great choices. I agree with the finance department from the county minister. Thank you, Gary. It looks like the POA put forward 2 great names. FOPO, great. And when it comes to the budget committee, it's a hard choice because we have so many amazing people that would qualify, but just specifically to their background, I think there's two that kind of stand above the rest, and it's James Rhodes and Jamie Karn. So that's who I would like. I'm just put that's who I'm publicly supporting for that role. Not that Ms. Rader and Mr. Sternock are not phenomenal. They are. So we're lucky to have such great choices, like seriously, but just because of their public safety background specifically, both of them, that's where I am leaning. But I don't know what my colleagues think, but I thought I would share that.
All right, thanks.
You beat me to it. I wholeheartedly agree. I was a little torn. Definitely James Rhodes. I think Jamie Karn would do a great job too, but I also like Wendy's perspective on things because it's not part of the public safety, so it kind of gives a different perspective. Definitely somebody who's been in public safety for sure, but James would be a great pick. And I'm a toss-up between Jamie and Wendy. So
Yeah.
All right, Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, I concur with Commissioner West on this. I definitely have a lot of respect for both Budget Committee member Wendy Rader and Kenny Cernak. I think they'd be great as well. It is a tough choice, but I think the public safety aspect of this is something I think they are so attached to through their careers. I think they would have that unique skill set to help us through this process.
Thank you. Well, I know. And that first and foremost is we're very fortunate to have all those individuals on the budget committee, and it is really, I would say, challenging. And I like many of you initially look at Jamie Karn, James Rhodes, Wendy, and Ken, and part of which is also how much Rhodes has also stepped up volunteer in the community. He's on vector control, which, James, I want to thank you for stepping up and helping on address some issues there. And so that's all once again, I'm concerned about bandwidth. That's probably the issue is he's retired and volunteers. So that's where I was kind of leaning towards Jamie Karn and perhaps Wendy. I could go either way, and I just want to say it's commendable that they all want to do it.
I agree.
Commissioner Savas has his hand raised.
Oh, go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, I did want to add that I had the opportunity to speak with James Rhodes about that, and I didn't use the words bandwidth, but I just asked him what his availability, if he had any trips planned or whatever, and he was not only excited about this opportunity, but told me very confidently that he definitely has the time available and is willing to step up and do it.
All right.
Chair, I nominate public members Jamie Karn and James Rhodes. And hold on.
How about separate it into two motions, please? So this one is just for the Budget Committee members. Your script doesn't say that, but
Okay.
if you would do that.
I'll
please.
just, Budget Committee members to the Sheriff's Office Finance Work Group.
Second.
Not my fault.
Okay, if I have this correct, then Commissioner West has nominated public members Karn and Rhodes as commissioners on the Budget Committee to serve under the Sheriff's Office Finance Work Group. Did I get that right?
Yes.
All right, seconded by Commissioner Helm. And with that, is there any further discussion? All right, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner Helm,
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Mr. Chair,
Aye.
motion passes 4-0, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So next, would you please select 2 members of the Board of County Commissioners to serve on this work group?
Chair, I would like to nominate, can I just go for it?
Yep.
You guys, we'll have discussion. Okay. You're on my list there, Commissioner Helm.
Okay. Oh, no.
Chair, I'd like to nominate the 2 commissioners to serve as Commissioner Helm and Commissioner Savas to the Sheriff's Office Finance Work Group.
Second.
All right, Commissioner West has moved to nominate two public members, no, not two public members, two commissioners to the Sheriff's Office Finance Work Group. Those nominations were Commissioner Helm and Commissioner Savas. And is there a second? The second, I'm sorry, second was Commissioner Savas. I'm sorry, pause there for a second. And is there any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, do you want to call the poll then?
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you both.
Thank you. I do want to mention to you, you have at least two members of the public have emailed you to your mail account asking if public members could serve on this work group beyond the budget committee members. So and they sent them to me directly. So I just said I would ask you. I've talked to some of you offline. You certainly could do that. It will delay this work group if you chose to do that. But there's members of the public who watch your sessions and they'd love to serve on this too. So I wanted to throw that out if you had any comment about that.
Commissioner West.
Generally, I would say the more public input, the better. But most everybody who is on this task force lives in Clackamas County and is a member or associate Clackamas County. And that is what the budget committee members are by function, that they are public members that work with this board on the budget committee. And I don't really want to delay because we're on a tight timeline. So I would probably take this, that we appreciate the desire and we please continue to ask us generally yes. But in this instance, based on the time crunch and already by the function of the budget committee being public members, I'm going to say we need to move forward.
All right, Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, I just want to add, I concur with Commissioner West on this. I think because of the compressed timeline, my concern is the steep learning curve on this. And I think that all the members selected here probably know more about the sheriff's office collectively than most anyone else from the public. So if it was not a compressed timeline, then I would certainly, maybe think a little bit differently about it. But we have very little time, and again, the learning curve for someone new would be very steep.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Helm.
Actually, that's what I was about to say. I appreciate, and I really would love to see a couple of someone who's not involved, but having the familiarity with this is, I think, really important. And to try to start from scratch would be really hard for someone right now. And we get a lot of different information that is I'm sure it's all out there on the web, but it's a lot and it's very complicated. So I'd like to move it forward as fast as possible.
All right, sounds like there's a consensus on that, so.
Okay, understood. We'll schedule the first meeting for March because next week there's no Commissioner Savas and Helm will not be present for our conference. And then I'm also working with Cindy we're working to find a facilitator to help facilitate the meetings, and that will be completed here shortly. So more to come. The meeting will be scheduled soon. Thank you. Next, advisory board and commission appointments. Andrew, go ahead, please.
Mr. Chair, the Emergency Medical Services Council, staffed by Health, Housing, and Human Services, currently has 7 openings due to term expirations. 12 total members are allowed. Recruitment opened to the public in early January of 2026 and closed in late January of 2026. Through this recruitment process, 6 applications were received. All 6 applicants currently serve on the council in seats reserved for specific roles, such as county health officer. All 6 are recommended for appointment. The recommendation is as follows. Sarah Present to a 3rd term ending March 2029. Jason Molly to a 4th term ending March 2029. Matt Dale to a 4th term ending March 2029. Jeannie Wilcox to a 2nd term ending March 2029. Vince Stafford to a 6th term ending March 2029. And Joseph Kafode to a 3rd term ending March 2029. The board could select other candidates or require further recruitment, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any questions, colleagues? May I have a motion?
Chair, I move to appoint Sarah Present, Jason Molly, Matt Dale, Jeannie Wilcox, Vince Stafford and Joseph Kafode to the Emergency Medical Services Council.
I'll second.
All right, Commissioner Helm has moved to appoint Sarah Present, Jason Mall, Matt Dale, Jeannie Wilcox, Vince Stafford, Joseph Kaford to the Emergency Medical Services Council. It's been seconded by Commissioners West. And is there any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Gary, what's next?
Thank you. A quick reminder, Commissioners, as you know, a quorum of the board will be attending the National Association of Counties Legislative Conference starting this Thursday. So this is the last board session for 2 weeks. There's no business meeting this Thursday, February 19th, or any work sessions or business meetings next week. So you'll next meet as a board on Tuesday, March 3rd, after you complete today. But you still have more to do today. With that, the final item for issues is Commissioner Communications. Chair, back to you.
All right. Commissioner Savas, you're up.
Chair, I don't have much for today. I'll try to hold my comments for Thursday.
All right.
There-
There's no Thursday business meeting.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So no comments, Chair. Yield back.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner West.
Thank you, Chair. I have an issue I'd like to address. We may not get to it until March, it sounds like, but as things move through the short session, any legislative session, things bubble up that we may want to deal with. There was a Senate Bill 1573, which did not pass. It was a bipartisan bill. Some of that bipartisan support came from the Clackamas caucus, and that bill looked to balance harm reduction services to those that need them in Oregon, also with the safety of children. And so all too often, we know in our parks and around our schools and daycare systems, drug paraphernalia, needles, biohazards, and you're a former sheriff, Chair, you're aware of these things also, and we all see them in our own community with our own eyes, all too often are too close to vulnerable populations like our children. And so what that bill looked to do was to create a 2,000-foot buffer between syringe service programs, or SSPs, and school-age children in daycares or in their education facilities. And that bill died. And there's some contention around that. You might have seen it in the media. And as a policymaker that deeply cares about this issue, about dealing with the realities around substance use disorder and homelessness and behavioral health issues in our own state, in our own region, which we have in many ways created a model that should be replicated throughout the region, and some are. We're doing good work. We also have to look at the rest of the community in which calls Clackamas County home. And those people that call this place home, and parents and grandparents and children, should not have to dodge biohazards around what should be safe spaces for them to operate. They should walk to school, be in playgrounds, on swings, sets, without having to worry about this. So I don't like to feel helpless as a policymaker or someone that sits on this dais. So what can we do at the local level to maybe bring that common sense, pragmatic policy to Clackamas County? It's a little complicated, but Clackamas County did not support publicly SB 1573. We did submit a letter of opposition that was somewhat nuanced to this bill. We could talk offline about why that is. I just think we should have been a little bit different in our approach, and we maybe should have, and I should have, and I'll take responsibility as a policymaker, been more engaged as this sessions move very quickly in short session. Before you know it, it's there, it's gone. But it did get a lot of exposure, the bill. It was, one of the chief sponsors was Senator Christine Drazen, and then also co-sponsored by Senator Mark Meeks and Dr. Reiki Sue Smith out of House District 26 in the Wilsonville area. So there was a good bipartisan support. I'd like us to very much explore how we tackle this at the local level. What ordinance can Clackamas County pass to protect school-age children in schools and daycare? And what teeth for accountability that's reasonable should we put behind that? What should that buffer zone be that balances the needs of this population versus the needs that need behavioral health services? Should it be 2,000? Should it be 1,500? Should it be 1,000? If you think about it, 2,000 feet is about your average city block. It's about 10 of them. It takes the average person at a leisurely pace about 7 minutes to walk that. Is that an appropriate buffer zone? Or do we want to go 5 blocks, which is about a 3-minute walk between these facilities? I think we should look at that, like what does 2,000 feet mean? What does 1,000 feet mean? And then what teeth and what strength behind it to make sure that we're serious about protecting this population too and being pragmatic can we do as a board? So I've asked Gary, I've had a brief conversation with county council over the weekend. What does that look like? I'd like the board to support me in directing staff to look at an ordinance. And then I would like us to reach out to our city partners, because that's for unincorporated Clackamas County, but work with our city partners to see which ones will also adopt something similar or the same policy. And then I'll go to AOC, the Association of Oregon Counties, and I will urge other counties to do what the legislature could not get done, which seemed reasonable, pragmatic, and most likely supported by the general public. But I am not shocked by the Oregon legislature's inability to be common sense and pragmatic, but I think counties are. So I would, that's my overall kind of goal, is to find that balance. And so how do we, and I'll close with this and see what you all think. I want to balance the needs of every citizen with also the behavioral health realities that we have to face and deal with, and figure out where that perfect balance is the best we can as policymakers in good faith. Chair, I'll yield back to you, but I would ask this board to support me in directing staff to start to look at an ordinance of this kind.
Comments?
No, I'm
Discussion?
vaguely familiar with it. I would like to delve a little deeper and talk about the distance. I think that's really important. But I'm totally fine with moving that forward. And
the staff could tell us, like, hey, here's some
Right,
ideas.
exactly, yeah,
As we
exactly.
talk about an
Yeah,
ordinance.
exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's great.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's great to go ahead and start looking at that direction and come back and say, just as you said, you know, what are you finding out on this issue, and have a broader discussion about it. So thanks for willing to step up and look into that. Thank you. And there's nothing else on that. I'm going to turn to Commissioner Helm.
Yeah, so I did get to finally go on the ride-along Thursday afternoon with Lieutenant Killinger. And I just want a big shout out to him for letting me tag along. It was very interesting. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say, but he did make a big drug bust. So that was kind of exciting and kind of surprising in the it was not like the kind of vehicle, or I don't know, it's like very strange the way the whole thing happened. But it was interesting, and he invited me along to go on a nighttime ride. He said they're much more exciting than the daytime ones. Friday, I attended by Zoom, because I was going out of town Friday afternoon, the 82nd Avenue Transit Project Policy and Budget Committee meeting. This is the project, the 7-mile project along 82nd Avenue that it improves all the bus stops, potentially adds bat lanes. I, again, am for the base project, which does all the improvements, the road improvements, bus stop improvements, but I did speak out that I agreed with ODOT. ODOT came out and said that they agree with the project in its base form without the bat lanes, interestingly. So, anyway, I said Clackamas County also supports no bat lanes, but the project in itself is going to have a lot of improvements in time and efficiency and everything. But the bat lanes add a business access transit. Thank you. I know it's like we talk in acronyms around here, not bats that fly. The disruption to businesses. Disruption to freight, getting to businesses. There's going to be medians all along 82nd Avenue now, so it's going to be harder for a person in a car, which is the point of this, is to make it easier for the buses to get along and move people more efficiently on time to their jobs, to their appointments. I understand the whole reason for that, but again, as an advocate for the business community, I want to make sure that they are not disrupted or harmed by this project. So anyway, I spoke up on that, and it's still moving. I don't believe we have a March meeting. I think we have our next meeting in April. So I'll be reporting back as we move along and it gets to voting on everything.
Right. Thank you, Commissioner. Just a couple quick comments. I will be back here this afternoon. Just that I had my standing Tri-County Chair meeting and really kind of catching up on stuff regionally. Also had a big discussion about kind of how parks are run in the different Tri-County areas and discussion about kind of where we're at on some of the park issues, and which kind of brought me to this. I did this weekend, I thought I'd go check out a lot of our parks on the weekend to kind of see how much use. So it was interesting. I went to Concord Community Center, the library down there, which was closed. That was on Sunday, and there were a lot of kids using the park, which was great. And I could see why trying to raise money to try and get the library open. I actually went and visited Happy Valley's library, and it was packed. And their park was packed, the library was packed. And so very exciting to see the community using that and kind of the need to figure out how we can maybe open ours more. And also just the other thing, I had a conversation with Senate President Rob Wagner, really trying to encourage him to help move some of our projects forward, the recovery center and all the work that Commissioner West has done on that. And so I think it's going to be tight timeline with this session, and did want to make sure that I recognize him for advancing SCR 204. That was really on behalf of AOC, and really he was a crucial partner in moving that bill forward. So I think that it's very encouraging on the recovery campus. I think also letting them kind of know the things we've accomplished, as a county, and very exciting kind of move forward on that. So we'll see. I just know it's going to be tough this session, so I don't want to put any super optimism out there, but we're continuing to work on that. And also really just having the discussion about the challenges on our mentally ill population and things that we could really start to strategically look at providing better services on that. So anyway, with that, I'm going to keep it short. If there's nothing else, I'll conclude the administrative issues and updates. And we're going to move to our first policy session of the day when we break for lunch, before we break for lunch. We're going to do it now, right?
Yes.
So Gary, why don't you go ahead and introduce that first one?
Thank you. Your first policy session this morning is the Clackamas County Penny Policy. Penny Policy. Presenting is Clackamas County Treasurer Brian Nava, who's worked on a draft policy for you in conjunction with me and my staff, and will seek your approval today.
Got his jar of pennies.
Treasurer Nava. Welcome, Treasurer. Thank you.
Exactly. Yes. Good morning, Chair, Board of County Commissioners, County Admin, colleagues. I am pleased to be here today seeking approval for the Clackamas County Penny Policy. As some of you may know, the last penny for general circulation was made by the U.S. Mint on November 12th, 2025. While there are still an estimated 250 billion pennies in circulation, local governments should prepare now on how to handle cash payments using coins. Until such a time that state and or federal guidance is presented, the attached policy provides the actions departments and offices should take when pennies are not available. Providing a standard policy and process for departments and offices to follow is critical to be consistent in the treatment of our residents and clients of Clackamas County. And I will say we generally copy this policy from Jackson County, who had previously adopted it, and Yamhill and Josephine were also working on adopting a similar policy. This policy received its legal review as part of the county's policy committee meeting on January 21st, 2026. Like Gary had already mentioned, Trent Wilson and PGA has worked extensively with our office on this policy, and we've been working closely with the AOC as well for a state and legislative solution. And they've been great. Some of you guys know Mr. Justin Lowe over there, so he's been awesome. AOC appreciates puns, so we were looking for a sensible solution. Okay, all right. Well, yes, no, you got to say it twice if it's a bad joke.
Sentable, scent. Yeah.
Fair enough.
okay,
Thank
dad
you, thank you.
jokes.
Okay, all right. That's where Gary got it. I appreciate that. Okay. So in general, the policy outlines that the following actions should be taken when pennies are not available, and it only applies to pennies. So if it's an electronic check or something of that nature, we would still take exact change. So we're going to round, if the customer client is paying Clackamas County in cash and we do not have pennies available, we would round down to the nearest 5 cents. If Clackamas County is giving change back to the customer and pennies are not available, we will round the change up to the nearest 5 cents. So that concludes my presentation. Again, seeking approval of the penny policy, of course, open to modifications or not approving at all.
Commissioner West.
How much cash do we take in? So how applicable is this in real life for us? Because, I mean, I rarely carry cash, and I don't know a lot of people that carry much cash anymore, but sometimes. But how common is it? Are we tendering and working with large amounts of cash or any cash?
Right. So in particular, the assessor's office takes in a lot of cash every
Do they
year.
really?
In general, we were looking to DTD and some of our other partners with it. They are still taking in a sizable amount of cash, a little more than I expected, to be quite honest. And I could get you those numbers if you want to see it in more detail. But every year, A&T takes in a little bit more cash than they did the year before, and more people seem to like to be paying in cash lately for whatever reason.
So your property taxes are often paid in cash?
Not often, but they're taking a lot of cash in.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Still predominantly it's paid via.
Is that why it looks like a bank when you walk into the lobby? It does. It looks like a bank.
Right,
when you walk
absolutely.
in. Yeah, okay.
Commissioner Helm.
Well, Commissioner West asked the question I was going to ask, but maybe I'll ask a different one. How much coin do you get?
Right. So last year we were actually working with, when we were working with Jackson County on this, when it came to just pennies itself, they were giving about $17 in pennies and change each year. And one of the things that we were able to do with one of our partner banks, MAPS, now MAPS Credit Union, we went and asked all our banks for pennies. Can you get some pennies? Is there anyone that could get us some? They were able to get us $50 worth of pennies, which doesn't seem like a lot, but that should get us through one more year, hopefully, if for some reason the banks or Loomis isn't able to provide us pennies. Because what we had found starting in October, Loomis had actually stopped providing pennies because they were the federal government wasn't putting them in circulation anymore. So as of January 14th, they were actually working on re-putting pennies in circulation, not making more pennies, but circulating them. But there's still been that potential impact. And so mainly today, circling back to the policy itself, is if we don't have pennies available, we don't want somebody working at their desk to then have to go to their supervisor and be trying to figure out how to give change not consistent. We want to be consistent as a county.
Can I add to that if
Yes,
I
go
may?
ahead.
So I've been saying for years, pennies should have been eliminated a long time ago, right? But as a retailer, former retailer, it's a magic number, right? Because
Right.
when you have something at $9.99, weirdly, the perception is it's $9, not 10. So it's big in the retail world, and I think they're going to have the hardest problem with it. But again, most people are using cards these days anyway, so it's going to be weird. I know I have $50 in pennies sitting somewhere in my house, but I'm not going to sit and roll them up and bring them over to the county.
If you want to, you can bring them over. We'll give you change.
I know. It's crazy.
All right. Go ahead.
We made, I mean, this is what I've been using pennies when I was a boy. My dad and I would make penny cabins. So you glue the pennies together and make like a little cabin, it's like,
how
if you
funny.
can't afford Legos, use pennies. So it's like we use them for crafts. My dad and I, we would build these little things out of pennies, and that's what we would save them up so we could construct with them. Yeah, like Lincoln Logs. Yeah.
Savas?
No, Commissioner Savas had to leave the meeting. I have a response. You actually provided this to me, Brian, the
Yeah, I did.
number. And I don't have the email in front of me, but it's significant to me. It's approximately $400,000 a year in cash the county collects. That's significant.
That is a lot.
But $17 in coin.
In pennies.
That's what Jackson County gave out in change
Yeah. Right.
as part of their tax collection this year.
Cash is big.
Okay.
All right. Who wants to make a motion?
I move we approve the penny policy as presented.
Second.
All right. Commissioner Helm has moved to approve the penny policy as presented. Commissioner West has seconded that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. All right, anything else, Gary? Before
That is it until this afternoon.
All right, thank you. So we'll recess, and we'll be back at 1:30 for our next policy session. Thank you for joining us. Well, welcome back, everyone, to this afternoon's session of the Board of County Commissioners on February 17th, 2026. County Administrator Schmidt, would you please call the roll for us?
Yes, Chair, thank you. Commissioner Savas is at a regional transportation meeting and will join later today via remote, but he's not here right now. Roll call. Commissioner Helm.
Here.
Commissioner Schrader. Here. Commissioner West.
I'm here.
Chair Roberts.
Here. All right, Gary, thank you. And what do you have first on the agenda for us?
First session is Clackamas Workforce Partnership Annual Report Presentation. Presenting is Laura Edmonds, Manager of our Economic Development Department, and Brent Baylog, Interim Executive Director of the Clackamas Workforce Partnership.
Good afternoon, Chair Roberts, Commissioners. We're excited to be before you again. Myself, Laura Edmonds, Manager of Office of Economic Development, and our guest today is Brent Baylog. He's the Interim Executive Director with Clackamas Workforce Partnerships, who we'll refer to as CWP to save our breath a little bit. But today, we are here so Brent can present to you their annual report. And this is informational only. There's no decisions to be made, no votes. There's no general fund used, and there's no lottery funds used for this programmatic deliverables. The presentation is keeping us in compliance with the partnership agreement between CWP and Clackamas County, and it's to provide, this is just a written report that you will see annually, sometimes via email, sometimes in person, and it's presenting the 2024-25 annual report. Brent's going to do his presentation first. There's a PowerPoint, which is attachment A in your packet. And then we're going to leave plenty of room at the end of the presentation for Q&A, if that's all right with you guys. Agreeable? Okay. And then, so just so you know, CWP, I'm going to remind you that they come before you guys 2 to 3 times a year for different approvals, formal approvals for documents, budgets, various reporting requirements. And so as of right now, you'll see us again June, July timeframe for budget reviews and approvals. But today is just the annual report presentation. And the second attachment in your packet, attachment B, is the actual annual report. And so Brent is going to present. So we'll start the PowerPoint.
Excellent. Good afternoon, Chair Roberts, Commissioners. Thanks for making time for me today. Where might I see this presentation?
It's gonna be right
Perfect.
here.
All right, I'm gonna let that get queued up in just a moment. Well, I think you all know who I am, but for formality's sake, my name is Brent Baylog. I'm Interim Executive Director of Clackamas Workforce Partnership, or CWP, and we are one of Oregon's 9 nonprofit workforce development boards, and we've been Clackamas County's certified workforce board since 2001. I am here under some false pretenses. Initially, I was going to do an overview of our annual report, and I will still highlight some takeaways from that. However, I wanted to take this opportunity to provide a refresher or an introduction for some of our newer commissioners around the role of workforce development boards in our relationship with Clackamas County. So we'll go ahead and get started. And before I move forward, I did want to talk about the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, or WIOA. We'll dive into that a little bit more later on, but that acronym does come up momentarily. So I wanted to make sure that everybody's aware that that's the federal legislation that governs the public workforce system in the U.S. So I'll start us, and I will move through some of these things quickly, but happy to provide follow-up. I want to make sure you all have plenty of time for questions at the end, and there's quite a lot of content in here. That being said, we did some last-minute editing, so things may be a little disjointed, but I think you'll find the content worthwhile. I just wanted to start off with the Workforce Partner Network to do a highlight of a program and initiative that CWP supports. The Workforce Partner Network, or WPN, is a no-cost resource sharing and professional development group for social and human service providers serving community members in Clackamas County. The intention of WPN is to provide a space for individuals to meet their peers from different institutions and systems of service and learn more about their programs and resources, and better understand them so they can assist community members into accessing those programs and resources. This is also an opportunity for service providers to engage in peer learning and skills development together, so they can learn about innovative programs, activities, initiatives taking place within the county, as well as other best practices that might be taking place in other parts of the state or in other states. I just wanted to highlight a recent learning event that we hosted in partnership with Northwest Family Services, Trillium Health, and Vocational Rehabilitation. This was a behavioral health and workforce services symposium. So it was a series of 3 workshops for service providers to better understand to develop some basic skills so that they can better serve individuals with behavioral health challenges as they enter or re-enter or remain in the workforce. So we covered topics such as disclosure before, during, and after the hiring process, combating stigma as well as self-advocacy in the workplace, and then accessing reasonable accommodations. Between those 3 events, we had a little over 60 individuals participating, representing over 10 different organizations. In the future, we're looking to reconvene this group with behavioral health as the undercurrent, but focusing on engaging employers so that they can better understand how they can support individuals with behavioral health needs and dispel any stigmas around hiring. Next slide, please. We'll talk a bit more about the board of directors and board composition in a little bit, but I did want to highlight CWP's board of directors now, specifically because I and my coworkers, we are staff to the board. The local workforce board is actually the individuals you see on the screen before you, so volunteers from the private, public, and nonprofit sector in Clackamas County. They inform and guide our work, and then the board staff carry out the functions of the workforce board. That being said, you might notice our vice chair, Amy Nguyen, founder and president of Dragonberry Produce, recently got to visit there with Commissioner Schrader as well as Laura, and was just chatting with Chair Roberts about some employer visits in the upcoming future. And our board of directors would be more than happy to host any commissioners who'd be interested in touring their facilities, so can certainly follow up with that. Next slide, please. I want to start with a snapshot of some of our programs and services for adults. So you notice here that our WIOA adult programs, these are 2 main programs for community members age 18 or older. They are funded by that Federal Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, as I mentioned. And these 2 buckets include adult, which are able-bodied adults with and without dependents, and then dislocated and laid-off workers is the second bucket of adult program participants. I wanted to also reiterate, I think I failed to mention actually, that CWP does not provide direct service. We contract with other service providers who then work directly with members of the public. So our primary adult provider is Clackamas Community College Workforce Services. And then we also contract with the Immigrant and Refugee Community Organization, or IRCO, who provides services for English language learners. We do contract with other service providers as well, but those 2 are the ones who fulfill our WIOA functions. So just wanted to touch briefly on some of the things that we measure when working with adult participants. You'll see with both adult and dislocated worker, we track employment after they exit services or complete a program. We also track credential attainment rate, which is if somebody obtains a credential, endorsement, a degree, something that allows them to be more competitive in the job market. And we also track measurable skills gains, which are demonstrated increases in knowledge or workplace skills. And lastly, we also track wages and earnings. You'll see with our employment rate after Q2 for both adult and dislocated workers, we did exceed our goal by 2.5 percentage points, which we are happy about. We also exceeded our goal for median earnings as well. There are a few areas where we did not meet our goal, but are developing an action plan with our contracted partners so that we're able to hit those benchmarks and make sure we're meeting deliverables. Another consideration for this as well, and I'll go into this a bit more in a coming slide, is that some of our programs, many of them are multi-year. So somebody may be tracked as far as that credential attainment rate, for example, prior to program completion. Next slide, please. Just wanted to do a quick overview of our WIOA adult program participants. You'll notice that this aligns fairly closely with Clackamas County's demographic data. The majority of our program participants are working age women, and most of them are white, but we do have a substantial number of Latino and Black community members engaging in programs. One thing that you won't see on here that I hope to better utilize is zip code moving forward. We have the sense that rural communities are not accessing and utilizing services to the extent that they could be. So that's going to be one of our primary focus areas moving forward, is learning how to increase access to those services, whether that's through mobile units, establishing satellite sites within rural communities, or increasing our virtual offerings. Next slide, please. Lastly, additional adult programs that are not funded through the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act are listed before you. I won't go into all of these now, but I would like to highlight the majority of them do provide an average wage that exceeds the state's self-sufficiency standard, which is something that we're certainly proud of. 2 programs, STEP and WorkSource Oregon Reentry, do not exceed that self-sufficiency rate. That's primarily due to many of the program participants having experiences in the legal system or other challenges in their background. But we're hoping to move forward in partnership with local employers to help increase hiring and increase earnings for those individuals. Next slide, please. And lastly, we'll talk a bit more about WorkSource Clackamas in a moment, but the WorkSource Clackamas Center is a one-stop employment resource center serving Clackamas County. And I just wanted to provide a brief overview of foot traffic by month, and this includes the 2024 to 25 program year, as well as the previous year. As I mentioned before, substantial number of people coming into the center, but we have a suspicion that there are other community members in need of services who are not able to access them. So anticipate this number increasing as we expand our engagement in rural communities. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, the fun stuff. The Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, as I mentioned, WIOA, that is the federal legislation that governs the public workforce system. It is a continuation of the 1998 Workforce Innovation Act, which was passed with bipartisan support and again reauthorized in 2014 with bipartisan support. And this is the current iteration of a long line of workforce development legislation dating back to the 1950s. But WIOA essentially is the main funding source for employment-related services for youth and adults, as well as services for employers and businesses. One of the core focuses of WIOA is to promote coordination and alignment across organizations and service providers, which is one of the core functions that local workforce boards fulfill. Next slide, please. And you can go ahead and populate all of that. Thank you. So local workforce boards like Clackamas Workforce Partnership, we're responsible for the local oversight and implementation of WIOA in our region. And as I mentioned before, we are a local workforce board, which not only refers to our staff members, but to the volunteer board of directors. So those are 51% private sector representatives, and that's to ensure that local workforce boards are business and industry led and can ensure that federal funds are invested in ways that meet the needs of local industry and major employers. Our remaining board composition is 20% trades and labor, and then other board members include education and training providers, economic development, local government, and social services. As I mentioned, the workforce boards not only serve to connect the private, public, and nonprofit sectors to one another, but we also help provide coordination and alignment between different service providers so we can reduce duplication and make effective use of resources and funding so that those dollars stretch the farthest they can and have the deepest impact. And we also provide compliance and oversight for the local one-stop employment resource center, WorkSource Clackamas, which we will jump into in just a moment. So a one-stop center, every state through the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, there are things called one-stop resource centers or America's Job Centers. And what these are no-cost workforce development services for community members. They house multiple organizations in one location and have a variety of services available through a streamlined process. So in Oregon, our one-stops are referred to as WorkSource Oregon Centers. And in Clackamas County, we have, next slide, please. In Clackamas County, we have one physical work source center, and that's located in downtown Oregon City. And that houses a variety of service providers, including those that CWP has contracted relationships with and funds, as well as other organizations that we do not fund. But just wanted to highlight, one, the variety of different providers operating as part of that work source network. And that includes those who are on-site as well as those who are not operating on-site at the physical location. What you see before you, Clackamas Community College, ERCO, those two have designated workspaces at the WorkSource Center that CWP funds. We also do have a relationship with Children, Family, and Community Connections, but not related to their presence at the WorkSource Center, although they are also there. And the other organizations do not necessarily have standard workspace available on site at the center, but can make and receive referrals at their own location. Next slide, please. Targeted sectors. These are just the core industries or main industries within our workforce region that have the most living wage benefited employment opportunities available to individuals. And so we try and tailor training and job training and education services to ensure that people have the skills and credentials they need to obtain employment in one of these targeted sectors. You can go ahead and thank you. And I'm going to move a bit quicker. There's one more. Thank you. One more. Thank you. So our targeted sectors in Clackamas County are construction, manufacturing, renewable energy, healthcare and behavioral health, and childcare and early learning. I did want to make a note on behavioral health and childcare. Those industries do not necessarily meet the threshold for family wage jobs or benefits, but they are pivotal for workers in other industries to be able to enter into and remain employed. So we've identified those as key sectors that we want to put more investment into. Next slide. And then working with employers, there we go, thank you. So we work with employers in a variety of ways, and I do want to emphasize that everything listed before you as far as services and resources do not all come from CWP. We convene a network of providers who work together to meet employer, business, and industry needs. Some of those services can include recruitment and retention, as well as incumbent worker training or skills development for an employer's current workforce. We also provide rapid response and layoff prevention for business closures, so we can avoid people laying individuals off, businesses closing, et cetera, and also provide resources around reskilling workers. Oh, okay. And let's move forward just real quick. I just want to highlight one last thing before we move to Q&A. And actually, could we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. This is my favorite background in teaching high school. So Manufacturing Day and Taste of the Trades is one of my favorite events. It engages middle and high schoolers in industry exposure activities. And this year, in partnership with the Community College and Education Service District, we engage middle schoolers for the first time. So we had just under 900 Clackamas County youth total participating, and that includes on-site activities hosted by the college with 38 providers, as well as 8 industry tours that employer partners hosted. All right, Q&A.
All right. Go ahead, Martha.
Yeah, where are we? And I should know this with the WIOA reauthorization.
Still to be determined, cautiously optimistic. The current expectation is that it will be refunded or comparable to the current level.
Okay, so probably no cuts, but at least a steady, well.
A potential for a 10% cut, but that would keep us at levels that we've operated at in the past.
Okay.
So not detrimental, certainly not like the best news, but we were expecting worse.
Okay, thank you.
I did have one question. First of all, thank you for presenting again today. It was a great conversation we had the other day, educating me on all the things that you're doing. The one question I had for you is just how are you working with our cities? I mean, and making sure they're aware of these resources, because I think they really are valuable.
Yeah, that's a great question. I will say we do have James Graham from Oregon City Economic Development as a board member currently, and have also worked with Ann Griffin with Oregon City ECDev pretty closely. We also work primarily with the economic development entities or individuals within each of the cities. However, I do think it would be valuable to expand who we are working with and connected to at the cities, including elected leaders, and extending an invitation for them to participate in our board meetings. That's something we've explored in the past, but has not come to fruition. In addition to that, outside of economic development, there are some other city staff members, depending on CWP staff, that are connected either with our youth program specifically, adult programs, or with our employment and employer and industry programs.
Fantastic. All right.
Great.
Any other questions? Yeah, I just want to thank you for the work you do. It's really important, and it was very informational to me the other day when we met, the wide group of folks that you touched base with. And obviously, nursing is one of the big ones, and healthcare providers, I saw that you really mentioned that. So, well, this is information-only update for us today, and again, thank you. And Gary, we'll go ahead and move on to our next agenda items.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Next is 2026-2027 fees and fines review and potential action for Clackamas County. So I will kick this off, and then you'll hear from 7 different departments and offices who will make requests from you today. The Board of County Commissioners back in December 2024 passed a policy called Cost Recovery for Fees, Fines, and Revenue Agreements. Part of that policy states that the board is authorizing that fees and fines for all of Clackamas County will follow the Consumer Price Index for the Western United States. And that is, whatever the CPI is for a given year, you're allowing in perpetuity going forward until you change this policy, that departments may raise their fees or fines up to whatever the Consumer Price Index is for that calendar year, up to 3%. Whatever is lower, so the Consumer Price Index or 3%, whatever is lower based on the Consumer Price Index. The Consumer Price Index for the upcoming year is 2.9%. Therefore, departments have the authority to raise fees and fines 2.9% automatically without your approval. However, if there is any new fee or fine, or if a department wants to discontinue a current fee or fine, or if a department wants to increase above, in this case, 2.9% of fee or fine, all of that requires your approval. So today, you have 7 departments that have one of those 3 things I just mentioned that need your approval. Either a new request, want to discontinue a current fee or fine, or increase a fee or fine above, in this case, 2.9%. So I must say, observing and supporting you the last many years, this is always a difficult conversation for you, commissioners and prior boards, because you're being asked to raise fees and fines that does impact the public. I'll offer to you, though, if you don't, while there's a short-term gain, there's a long-term disadvantage, and that ultimately this does impact the level of service that departments are able to provide, because many of these fees and fines are beyond what a normal taxpayer pays in property taxes. It's very unique or specific to what that person is asking for. So if you were to reject some or all of these, that would mean a loss of service. I'm not going to redirect general funds of the county to these programs or fees. You can decide to do that in the budget meetings in May, but it would mean an impact to the budget, which is why we do this now, because we can then reflect this, whatever you decide in the upcoming county budget. So I can see the grimaces on your faces. I'm sorry. This is a difficult conversation, but one that must be held every year. So with that, we will start with the 7 offices, and the first office today is the Assessment and Taxation Office. Bronson Rueda is the county's assessor, and he will present his request to the board. Welcome, Assessor Bronson. Go ahead, please.
Okay, good afternoon, Commissioners. Chair Roberts, my name is Bronson Rueda. I'm the County Assessor of the Assessment and Taxation Department. So you hopefully have the policy session worksheet and attachment A, just 2 pages for me. And as Gary mentioned, I'm here today to provide you 3 options. On attachment A, there's highlighted in yellow all of the fees that I have proposed to go up more than the 2.9% CPI index. And the 3 options that I'm giving you are approve the proposed changes to A&T fees, provide further direction to A&T regarding the proposed fees, or do not approve the proposed changes to A&T fees. And so in preparation for this, we did some research on what other counties, other assessment taxation counties were doing in Oregon. And there's no uniformity or conformity on fees or the types of fees that are charged from county to county. Some counties charge similar fees. Some counties charge additional fees that we don't charge. And there's no one set amount unless it is provided in statute on what we can charge. And so all the proposed fees I have, they are within reason to what other counties are charging. And I'll go through the list, the highlighted ones. I have them in groups. The first four are going up, they're doubling from $1, $2, $5 to $10, and those are things that are printed off. So the one item I didn't mention is these fees haven't been changed since at least 2012. Maybe prior, I don't have any records that I could find prior to 2012. So these have been stagnant for 14 years. So those first four, I'm proposing to double because paper costs have gone up and personnel costs have gone up. The next fee is a D-class fee. I'm proposing a $50 increase from $150 to $200. That's based off of the time it takes my staff to conduct these D-classes.
What
is a D-class?
D-class?
So D-class is when you're, say it simply, you're no longer going to be in the forest program. So You're getting a special assessment, you're coming out of that special assessment program, most likely you're going to develop that land. And so when that happens, we don't charge, when that happens naturally through the process, we don't charge a fee. But there are times, a lot of times, when property owners will come to us and say, we're thinking about declassing at some point of time in the future. So that doesn't mandate us to do it without charging a fee. So when people want information like that, we will charge a fee because there's a lot of work that goes into estimating these things.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next grouping is the electronic data requests, and currently those fees are $110 to $180 depending on how many accounts. And I'm proposing to increase each of those by $20. And that is an 11% to 18% increase. And then the next one is a standalone. It's a map, a plat map. Again, similar to the first four. It's a paper copy, and I want to change that from $5 to $10. Personnel costs and paper costs have gone up. And then the last two, I want to up one $10, one $5 to a total of $4 each for information and for a study, the sales ratio study. So those, again, highlighted are the ones I want to increase more than the 2.9% that are not outlined in statute. But these increases are, our ability to charge these fees are outlined in ORS 192.324, subsection 4, subsection lowercase a. Are there any questions?
All right, Commissioner Schrader.
So these have not been updated since 2012?
The ones I have highlighted have not been updated since 2012. The ones that I want to propose, the ones that I propose going up more than 2.9%.
Okay, and that's the dilemma in not doing things incrementally through the years, is then it comes to the point where suddenly you have to do it all at once, and it's hard, but I certainly, I'll be honest with you, I trust your judgment with this. I don't think anybody likes to raise fees. However, if this has been static since 2012, it would seem to me it would be necessary at this point in time. That's just my observation.
All right, thank you, Martha. Commissioner Helm.
Thank you, Bronson. I know you said there wasn't it was all over the board with the other counties, what they charged. Did you kind of take that aggregate, kind of price average it? Or did you just do it based on what you think
So I looked at the proposed increase and looked at what other counties were charging, and I looked to see if it was within reason, and they were all, in my opinion, within reason.
Within reason, very good words, I like that. And then do you also know if, since 2012, how much employee wages have gone up percentage-wise?
I don't. But if you're using a CPI of a standard 3% since 2012, that's 42%.
Exactly,
So-
okay, that's what I want to make that point, because as alarming as these numbers sound, you've not kept up with it. So again, by not taking increases on a regular basis that are a little more palatable, it's a harder pill to swallow at this point. So, yeah, thank you.
Right, just to hit your point at home, Commissioner Holm, all of the proposed increases are under that 42%
Of course, yeah, I saw that.
threshold that we
Yeah,
talked about.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Commissioner West.
Assessor Rueda, thank you so much for coming this afternoon. I just am curious about a little bit about process. Under electronic data requests, there is a spread from 1 to 1,000 accounts all the way to 15,000 plus. Is that the number? Is that like if you're reviewing that many actual tax accounts, or how, can you explain like what that means when you're doing electronic data request, or what that would be in real world?
So somebody will call in and they'll want to, in a certain taxing district, they want information on 1,000 accounts or 2,000 accounts or 3,000 accounts. They'll
Okay.
give us a list of fields of what data they want. And so it's a very hands-on process. Unfortunately, with our computer system, it's over 27 years old now that we've had it. And so it's not as easy, I would imagine, as a newer system would be to withdraw data. So perhaps when we get a new system, that might be easier, and these costs may go away, may not. But right now, it's a very hands-on system. So depending on how many accounts they want the information from, we scale that cost up accordingly. So if you notice, we have currently $110 for 1,000 accounts or less. That's the bottom of the scale. And then the top of the scale is 15,000 accounts or more is $180.
So, question, if average homeowner wants to look to buy in an area and wants some information on a property they're looking at, maybe it's one or two, or it's ones or twosies, are they still paying $110? Am I understanding how it's, maybe I'm not understanding how it's done?
So so I could be wrong, but I would venture to say that there are no average homeowners coming in asking for information on accounts for 15,000 accounts. If they want information on their own specific property or a neighboring property, they come in and they can actually stay at home and research it from their desk and see what information they want. If they want printouts from us, they'll come in, and currently it's $1 per printout. We'll give them that. So that's not a data request. Electronic data requests are large amounts of data with specific fields that we have to program into our computer to pull that information out.
I guess I'm trying to parse out, it feels like a big difference between 1 and 1,000, and then once you start to get into that larger number, that starts to make sense to me. But on those much kind of smaller data requests, to be the same at 110 as it would at 1,000, and I don't know what the workload is between 500 and 1,000 or starting at 1,000. I'm just curious if we're starting a little low at 1 for a data request.
What do you mean by we're starting a little low at
Well,
one?
it's $110 if I want one account for one account. It's the same as if I ask for 1,000.
Right now, that's the scale, but I'd have to look. I don't think anyone's coming in asking for information for one account.
Okay.
Most likely, it's 15,000 or more is what people are asking for.
Which,
And it's
and
companies.
so that was my other question on the other end. If someone's asking for 50,000 accounts, that seems like a lot more workload than just 15. I'm just wondering, I'm just questioning recouping costs based on the scale. Yeah. If there's more to be had there.
What do you mean by more to be had?
Well, I don't know how often these requests come in, but let's say somebody asks for 25,000 accounts, they should probably be charged, I would assume, based on man hours potentially, I mean, you might be being more conservative than me, more than $180. It just, and I don't know what that spread is. That's why I asked the question about what does it look like in reality?
So if somebody comes in and wants information on 1,000 accounts.
Yeah.
And they'll say it's for these 10 fields. We'll get that, we'll sort it, we'll put it together nice and pretty, and we'll give it to them. If somebody comes in and wants information for 10,000 accounts, there's a little more work to it. There's a little more lines to review. And so we've made those steps upward.
Okay.
We had to make a decision on when, at what exact step to increase it. And this is what we fell on.
Okay. Is it a lot more work to do 10,000 versus 1,000? Is it like a lot more hours?
I don't know how to quantify it
Okay.
for you. I can go back and ask staff if they can quantify it. It's, all I can say is time.
Okay.
There's more time involved. I don't have
Okay. Thank you.
exact time amounts.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Helm.
I'm playing devil's advocate here, so forgive me. And I've heard this from people before when they say, well, this is your job to provide us these things. Why would you charge us when it's part of your job?
Right. Good question. And I would, depending on how the question was phrased, but we have almost all of our duties are outlined in statute, and providing specific fields. For this one, we're talking about specific fields for a certain amount of counts. That's not outlined in statute, that we have to provide that. And so what is outlined in statute is ORS 192, where we can charge, a public body may establish fees reasonably calculated to reimburse to actually cost for compiling. So that is what we've landed on. There's a lot of stuff that we do that is statutorily required, and those things that are not outlined in statute, we try to recoup our fees per legislators' law that they set up for us to do so.
Right, because it's kind of outside of their normal scope of work, their daily job, right? That's
Correct.
it. They have to stop what they're normally doing and do this instead. So that is the reason for the charge.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, just a quick comment. First of all, I really appreciate that you're looking at some of the other counties and doing a comparable, because I think that just doing the CPI, particularly if you've been behind like that, I think that's a good practice. And so my assumption would be is once you kind of get to where you think is market rate, that you'll then in the future be looking more just at a CPI increase. Is that my understanding correct?
Right, that's the intent is if you look on the right column, it says one-time reset. So all of these, I think, that are highlighted, yeah, all of these are a one-time reset. And so there's a chance, Chair Roberts, that once we get our new system, we may have another one-time reset, maybe downward or upward. I don't know. It depends on how long it takes to do some of these things. But with our current system, this is for a one-time reset for our current system.
Great. And I did want to give a shout out and say thank you for the veteran late filing fee. It had no change, so thank you for keeping that across the board for us. That was nice. So I don't have any other questions. If any of my colleagues would like to make a motion.
Well, before you make a motion, I'd like to emphasize that the late filing fee for veterans, that fee is outlined in statute, so we try to treat everybody equally and fairly in the county, so we're not undercharging veterans. We are charging them what's outlined in statute.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right. Well, I'm glad to see it's the same, so thank you. All right. Thank you for your clarification on that. Anything else?
I move to approve the proposed changes to the A&T fees.
Second.
All right. Commissioner Helm has moved to approve the proposed changes to A&T fees. Commissioner Schrader has seconded that. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Helm,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0, Mr. Chair.
Thank you again.
all right, you're
Thanks
welcome.
for your
Thank
time.
you, Commissioners.
All right, next is the Sheriff's Office. Presenting is Patrick Williams, Finance Manager of the Sheriff's Office.
Chair Roberts, Board of County Commissioners, County Administrator Schmidt. I'm Patrick Williams, the Finance Manager for the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. I'm here today to request approval of increasing the fines and fees that we have the ability to change that are not guided by ORS by the CPI. And I'm available for any questions if you have any.
Right. Actually, Patrick, are there any major anomalies you'd like to draw the board's attention to, or is it pretty basic adjustments?
It's just basic adjustments across the board. Yeah.
I had one question I'll kick it off with, and that is looking at your Public Safety Training Center, and you did the CPI adjustment. I just wondered, kind of the same thing a little bit, is have you had the opportunity to do any comparables with other room rental rates, and just if we're in the market rate range is all I was curious about.
We didn't really have an opportunity to evaluate the room rental rates, more of the range. So we did not have that opportunity.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Helm, go ahead.
No, my only comment, it's a mind-boggling amount of fees that are involved here, and I will say, because I'm apparently going to be on this working group for the sheriff's budget, that this is great information to have, and it's absolutely, like I said, mind-boggling how many fees are involved in not just your department, all the departments. So this is going to be a great learning lesson for me, I'm afraid.
All right, thank you. Commissioner West.
Chair, you got to something that I was thinking also with your question, is I know that in our county there are a lot of residents that enjoy going to a shooting range, and there are a number of private shooting ranges in our county and surrounding. And I guess I would be curious, even though this is the CPI adjustment, making sure that this is a revenue source and not something that is actually taxing potentially the precious general funds that we are all often talking about, Patrick. And so I don't see that addressed here in the potential fees. That might have been an opportunity for us to look at that going into the budget cycle, like, hey, we're under market here, and here, or this is what it would take for us to totally break even as we offer this to the public, or here's some ideas about making sure that we're not being a strain on the general fund. Would have been good to see. Could you, on that, we got big sheets here. On the second page, it's all CPI, and then it talks about requested increase. Is that just because that this increase just happens to be more than the CPI adjusted? And then why did we want to go higher than the CPI adjusted on the public safety training? And then I don't know what Public Safety 101 or Public Safety 10A is, if that's just like beginner course in how to use a firearm. I'm not sure. But it looks like it's more than the CPI amount. And so I'm just curious about why we came to those numbers instead of the CPI adjusted in this instance.
My apologies. What page are you?
Oh,
is it
sorry.
Appendix
I think it's the second one if we have the same one on the big sheets. And it's kind of, down in the yellow, highlighted.
Courses.
On courses, classes offered.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because consistently throughout, you guys are just basically doing CPI adjust, which is obvious, but except for this, in this instance, it's different. I'm just wondering if you could explain.
Oh, that we're actually, I see. I think these were specifically requested by our program manager at the PSTC, and my apologies to not have the details around that.
Okay.
I can certainly get back to you on why
Okay,
those
and it
are
would be
different than the
really
CPI.
interesting to see if this could be a net positive financially for the county, this resource, and a way to help make it that way, and just see how that can impact general fund or take pressure off of it, even if it's a few $100,000 or, it may not be an enormous amount of money in our overall budget, but it, as you know, all right now helps.
Absolutely.
All helps, so.
And we did that analysis and had to strike the balance between being responsive to the community's needs and their enjoyment of the Public Safety Training Center, and recovering the costs and how much we would need to raise the cost to make a material difference in the reduction of any general fund support for the fees and fines that fund our civil program or our public safety training center program. We did that analysis, and the CCSO leadership just made the decision to keep it at the CPI increase for this year. Yeah.
Okay. It'd be interesting to see and have that conversation publicly with you all.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. That's all I have.
All right. Yeah, I think just my comments really similar to Commissioner West is just perhaps, later towards the budget or another time, really just if you have any research that comes back that says, hey, we're really undercharging, I'd just encourage you to bring it to our attention and see what we can do to help. The only one other thing I was going to ask, and that is really kind of also doing a little bit of a comparison with other counties. I know there's countless false alarms, and that's an incredible task on resources. And I see your fourth false alarm is $200, right? And I know how much it is cost per deputy, and their time is so valuable. And again, I want to be in the market, so I would just encourage you that if you did increase it by the CPI, but if by chance other counties are much higher on their fourth or third false alarm, we always understand if somebody has one or two. And I appreciate you not charging for that one, but if it continues to be a pattern, it's really taxing on your resources. So that's all the questions I had. And
Jared, do you have an extra pen I can borrow?
yeah, are you looking at this, or what do you need this?
Oh, here you go, Martha.
Oh, I needed a pen.
Okay. I do have an extra one.
That's okay.
All right. Any other questions, colleagues? If not, I might ask for a motion.
Sheet.
Chair, I move that we approve the adjustments for the fees and fines from the CCSO as presented.
Would you please read the motion in your script?
I don't
Specific.
have.
Here it is.
Page 12.
I got so many papers up here.
We got a lot of papers up here.
Thank you. I move to approve the proposed changes to the CCSO's fees and fines with the exception of those that have rates set by ORS.
Second.
Right. Thank you both. And Commissioner West has moved to approve the proposed changes to CCSO fees and fines with the exception of those that have rates set by ORS. It's been seconded by Commissioner Helm. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll for us?
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0, Mr. Chair.
Right. Making a pile of paperwork up here. All right, Gary, what's next?
All right, next, the Department of Transportation and Development. Dan Johnson, the Director of the Department, will present.
Yeah.
Chair Roberts, Commissioners, I just want to do a quick shout out to County Administration, probably the clerk or Nancy for not having DTD go first. I really appreciate that. This may be a first. Again, my name is Dan Johnson, Director of the Department of Transportation and Development. I am here to share with you some fee adjustments. I don't say fee increases because there are a variety that are in here. In fact, there are 31 pages in your
We
packet.
know.
Yes,
We know.
I'm not going to go line by line, but I want to take a second and just kind of summarize and then actually get into some specificity about a number of them. So essentially what you see before you, the majority of which, to be transparent with the public, fall within the CPI adjustment. Essentially, we have approximately 417 fees and all of our fines. Every single one of the fines in our fine chart is going up by the CPI adjustment. There's no increase proposed. Secondly, we are eliminating approximately 16 fees. Either they are obsolete and no longer needed. 3, we are reducing 3 fees that are located in there in the list. We have housekeeping for 5 fees. Housekeeping is basically changing the title of the fee, what it applies to, make it more consumable by our citizens. 5, let's see here, housekeeping, pardon me. Then we go to one-time resets. We have approximately 13, and by one-time resets, we do job costing for the majority of the fees that we have within our organization. And so essentially, there are times once a year when we may see a fee that has fallen historically behind the times in regards to what the rate is, and we'll do a one-time reset in an effort to ensure it falls under the CPI methodology going forward. And in this packet, there are approximately 13. And then there are approximately 17 new fees. And I want to take just a brief second of time to kind of run through those for you so you have some clarity and understanding about these new fees that are being considered. So those new fees essentially, for the most part, fall into two specific areas. One of which is, if you recall earlier this year, we were required by the Department of Environmental Quality to adopt a residential erosion control program. And the board, at that point in time, we had talked a little bit about fees, and we had said that we were going to delay the fee adoption until this point in time. We were going to subsidize any requests for those services from our sustainability department. So we are here essentially to set the fee for that program that was adopted by the Board of County Commissioners. I will tell you that the fee that we are looking to adopt is exactly the same fee that is implemented by Water and Environment Services and others that do that particular work. So there's no change in fee or no discrepancy within that fee. Second, a large number of the fees fall within our property resources program. And I want to just, there's a lot of backstory here, but essentially you are very aware of the fact that there was a Supreme Court case a number of years ago that basically turned how we do that programmatic operation on its head. And so essentially the best path forward was essentially to establish certain fees for certain services within the adopted fee schedule so that we're able to collect those prior to reselling or auctioning properties. And we wanted to ensure those fees were in the fee table in case anybody had any questions associated with the true cost of that service delivery or that service provision. And then last but not least, I do want to take one moment and draw your attention to, and if you can find it, it's on page 39 of your packet. And it is a specific fee regarding our property land corner.
Oh, never mind.
Andrew, are you able to pull it up?
We don't have numbers.
We don't have
It's a
numbers.
property land corner fee. It's on
Might
page
just have to
30.
look
We're
at
going
I
to show
was-
it on your
oh.
screen because we
Oh,
don't have it on-
39, I believe it is. I'm sorry.
No.
We don't have page numbers.
Oh, you don't have the screen.
We would just have to count.
Okay, let me just talk you through this really
Well,
quick.
I wanted to ask, I have that highlighted on the first page, what are the public lands corner preservation fees? So you beat me to it.
No, that's great. Well, you're going to see two things. One, we moved it because it used to be under the county clerks, and that wasn't appropriate because essentially it is a program that we have within DTD, but it is a fee that the county clerk does collect on our behalf. So we removed it from the county clerks and put it under our survey program. The Public Land Corner program is essentially the program that establishes the survey grid in which every single survey in Clackamas County is based on. It sets the corners and section corners. So if you look at any land description, it starts with starting at this point, and those are the points that are established. That fee has not been raised since the 80s. In fact, there was a legislative limit, statutory limit on the rate that was set. It was set at $10. And essentially, those are the only dollars was dedicated funding that went into doing that program. Over the last 4 to 5 years, it is a fee that is captured at the time documents are recorded, with a number of different items, namely the fact that there was a big reduction in recordings, so there's a reduction in revenue that was created for that program. That has essentially required us to almost stand that program down. In fact, we had to move a number of FTE out of that program and have reallocated them in other areas of the county and have moved every single FTE in that program out, and they charge back to that only in emergency circumstances. It's an important component as it's the backbone of the surveying work within Clackamas County. This last year, the legislature removed that cap of $10, and so we are looking to increase it to $30, similar with all of our other jurisdictions around the region for the most part. But what I wanted to highlight were discussions I had with Clerk McClellan in regards to McMullen. She brought something to our attention last week, which was, I think, is important to discuss with the Board of County Commissioners. And one of the documents that they record is essentially a certificate of death when an individual is named on a piece of property. And there's been a regional and or state emphasis on not charging this land corner fee on those certified copies of the death certificate. And what we would propose to the board, it was too late, we couldn't include it in the packet before you today, but it seems like a reasonable request that we would exempt that fee from certified copies of the death certificate. Thankfully, there aren't many of these annually, and it seems like when folks are going through that time in trial of grief and trying to get their affairs in order, it seems like a reasonable fee to waive. I've talked to our county surveyor, who is in complete support, so is Clerk McMullen, and she has joined us here today answering any questions you might have regarding that and other work that's going on at the clerk's office regarding that fee. So with that, there are three options for you to consider today. Obviously, approval of the proposed changes to fees and fines. Second is providing direction if you'd like to see some adjustment. And third is not approving these adjustments at this point in time. Our recommendation was approving the proposed changes to DTD fees and fines. And I want to emphasize this, and scheduling a public hearing for the public land corner fee. That's a requirement of state statute. I would add in there also to include an exclusion for recording for a certified copy of the death certificate. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. That's a lot. My apologies.
Let's go first.
I'll go then. Yeah. I feel like I'm in a little bit of pickle here. I understand the need and why we're having the conversation around fees right now. But your department does interact the most, I believe, with business, job creators, development, and working with those, and well with those entities. And having this conversation right now, as Oregon specifically in the metro area has had really alarming numbers in business rankings, ranking often last in the nation in business friendliness, the ability to have the cost to do business. In 2025, we lost 8,800 jobs. Our housing production has slowed to a halt. Oregon is one of the most unaffordable states. One of the biggest examples of that is you can cross a state border and pay about $2 a gallon gas, and still in Oregon, for a number of reasons we won't get into, it's well over $3. All of this impacts the ability to do business. We're ranking second to last in real estate investment out of our peer cities. Out of 81 ranked, we're 80th. We've heard that quite a bit in the news. And so I want all of those businesses to develop and say it's cheaper to do it here. And we always go back to the same well and say we have to increase fees and taxes and regulatory burdens. And we're struggling more, arguably, than anywhere else in the nation. We're not competitive with the other states. And we still even have to be competitive at a county level. So that's what I'm just like philosophically wrestling with. Like, I know we all feel that and hear it all the time. The recent economic reporting that has come out from EcoTrust and then the Portland Metro Chamber is concerning. The governor's new task force on prosperity initiative. I'm not saying we don't need to do this, but philosophically, like, I'm struggling with having to do this with where we're at in the reality. And I do believe that a lower fee burden and a lower regulatory burden is probably the direction we need to go in. And I don't feel like that. This is housekeeping a little bit, but I also feel like, am I contributing to the burden? But I need your department to function, Dan, right? So I'm wrestling with this pickle, like, in my overall picture of it, and I don't know if you can help me wrestle with that and speak to it.
I would love to help you.
Yeah, help me out, Dan.
None of us want to be here having this discussion around fees. And let's just be honest. But let's just back up. Only a certain percentage of these fees relate to development, number one. A lot of them are service-related. The ones that do relate to development provide value. They provide value with the fact that it creates a marketable assurance around certain development types that allow you to profit off the resale of that particular element and item. I also want to talk about the fact this is a snapshot of some of the costs that you see in the development realm. The big hitters, when's the last time I've come up here and talked to you about increasing our transportation SDC? I think it's been a decade. We haven't done it. I mean, the big hitter fees, the big ones that have significant impact that a lot of our neighboring jurisdictions are increasing, I would bet my house that our transportation SDC is the lowest in the region. And so while I appreciate the fact that it's the intent and desire to make and to manage costs, I totally believe that. And a lot of that nuance is around two things. One is the job costing that we're doing, so I can look all of you in the eye and say, this is a reasonable cost for this service delivery and an actual cost on the cost recovery side. You don't see it in here, but we do compare all these fees to our other partnering jurisdictions, and those that are ridiculously out of line, we challenge and assess and look at. And I'm not going to get into competition on this discussion, but we have our neighboring jurisdictions that have significant increases to their development fees, namely Washington County. They're doing a significant increase about some of their budgetary woes. But it's the totality of that discussion that creates the picture for folks who have interest in either developing in the county or not. And this is only one part of that. And I can assure to the board, there are many other parts that are staying at cost or that we have cost control measures in place to assure they are not pricing us out of the market or keeping us competitive within the Tri-County area to a great degree. We have also heard, just also the fact that politically the business community around Clackamas County feels supported in Clackamas County. We have heard that, and as an example, Sunrise, we were out talking to business, and we have a lot of those businesses along that corridor that feel very comfortable working with us. So I know that doesn't answer everything that's a concern that you had, but I just wanted to kind of provide some context to it. So.
Can I follow up with that real quick, Chair? Yeah. So like you spoke to value, that does ring true to me. Like we have to be able to deliver certain services quickly and efficiently so that they can get onto building. For example, we were having an earlier this year a conversation around the septic certification. We'd have to send somebody out, and we were, unfortunately, it sounds like, didn't have the staff necessary to be able to be even competitive, and then they would lose whole building seasons because it would take too long to get that done. Am I right? And I'm wondering if, when we do this, we're looking at how we can be more productive and nimble, so that we can provide those services quickly and get out the way.
And that is a great example. Last year, we did not increase our septic, or 2 years ago, we did not increase our septic fees at all. We had not increased them for a number of years. We delayed the increasing those fees because you want to do a deeper analysis of the true cost of that service delivery. That delay created a staffing shortage within that so we have the single biggest septic program in the state of Oregon.
Yeah.
As crazy as that sounds, if you think about all the rural development that we have. We feel it's important to keep it local. We could give it back to the state because we can control the timing and the performance on that. I can tell you right now, they are fully staffed. You are hearing septic concerns go down because they are able to now get people not only hired, unicorns and folks that do septic unicorns, surveyors and folks that do septic are like unicorns. They're just not out there, and we've got good people doing good work. Now our concerns with the timelines are going down as our timelines go down for the review. But that is a direct result of some adjustments that we made within the fee structure to allow us to staff to the need that we had and allow us for development to occur.
We were getting calls from developers. Yeah. So I don't know how I'm going to vote on this, just based on what I'll make a decision, of course, today, because somebody's going to make a motion, but that's where I'm coming from and how I'm looking at it. Appreciate it.
All right, Martha.
Yeah, Dan, I think you already answered this question, but when you look at the comparables of what our fee structures are compared to the other counties, my sense is that we're lower and actually still deliver quality service. And
I can't say for all, but I would say the majority of ours are lower than the normal Tri-County area. That's correct.
Okay, because I still see people moving from the north
You are seeing.
In the south,
I can speak mostly towards business, because some of the economic
Yeah.
development reports we've provided to you is showing the fact that business is relocating in Clackamas County. And I would assume that's the population as well as we continue to grow as much as the region is growing, so.
Okay, thank you.
Just one comment I had, Dan, and I think that, and this is almost a question for Gary too, because I really, I guess I hear Ben's concerns and thoughts, and this is where I want the county to be. My hope always is to be the leader in certain areas and be lower in other areas, such as fees, right? And one of the things I believe this is that you have 400 you mentioned today, and I wouldn't expect your staff or everybody to go over all 400, but even if there was a way to highlight a lot of the ones that you really believe are crucial, and we had a comparison within the metro area to really, because I think it's also something the board can tout as, this is one big reason why you should come to Clackamas, is our fees are less. And as you mentioned, the STCs, I've heard varying numbers on that, you know. I've heard some cities are really high, and I'm not going to name them, and some are low. And it just educates me better. And when I'm having the conversation with builders out there and highlighting and why they should come here and where our fees are at in comparison. And that's really kind of the same question I had for kind of the sheriff's office. What is the market value on the room rental, and trying to stay competitive, but maybe just below that rate. So I don't know if you have any comments on that, or what do you think about that?
We used to give comparables in this sheet. I mean, it's possible. I mean, but I can tell you that we have, we are aware of what their fees are. Some of the concern is like for like. I mean, is it exactly the same thing? I can't affirm that to you or not. I can affirm to you the fact that our overall development costs are less. And
I think that's one of the big ones for us, right?
And I can also affirm to you of the 30-some sheets, 661 fees are simply going up by the CPI. They aren't being adjusted. We've only got the small number of new fees. The commitment that we made, especially when the board adopted the CPI discussion, was more around ensuring that we try to right-size our fees as much as possible, so they would more fall into that CPI dialogue. And so you're not seeing, even the ones that are a one-time reset aren't a significant increase. All
right. I had a couple more comments, but I want to turn to Commissioner Hill.
Right. I share Commissioner West's concerns about we're trying to encourage people to come to Clackamas County to build, to develop. We want to grow our workforce. We want people to move here and have living wage jobs. So I share those concerns, but most of these are CPI adjustments. I get that. My questions are about the new fees. Most of them look like they're related to property disposition, but can you tell me what the site visit inspection fee is for?
For which one?
It just says.
Property disposition.
Yeah. So that's in addition to the other direct costs, reimbursement, auction fee, private sale fee, outside broker listing fee. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
There's a lot of big numbers in here, right, that are now new for our development community. So
those aren't development related.
Those are not development related.
Those are simply associated with our property resource program. That property resource program is the program that takes foreclosed properties from A&T, prepares them, and gets them back out to market through auction to the public.
Okay.
And so we had a Supreme Court case essentially that dictated what dollars can be collected by government, by public, in association with that. Because essentially, historically, it was we would recover the property. We had a set criteria for kind of our fee and our costs and policy, and then we put it out to auction, and we would keep all the residual money that was there. We can no longer do that.
Right.
So now we've got to basically return that residual money back to any claimants there may be for the property. And so into this new model, that was the importance in kind of establishing what the fees were for these services. And those site visits can take a number of different forms. It's amazing what happens when property is vacant. We may get calls for trespass. We may get calls for, we've had calls for, hey, they just built a BMX motorcycle track on this
Right.
piece of property, and we've got to go out there and take care of that, so.
Okay, thank you. And can I follow up with a couple more questions, Chair? Under the property disposition, the annual management cost allocation doesn't have a number associated, neither does the direct cost reimbursement. So those are blank as far as amounts.
I'm looking at it right now. It's the actual cost. So it's the actual programmatic cost of that program is disseminated across all the properties that we have on an annual basis when they go to auction.
Oh, so you take, again, the aggregate.
disseminates
sits-
across
Okay,
everything.
okay,
Yes, yes,
okay.
yeah.
I see.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to go back to the question about development.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there are any that aren't CPI adjusted. The only increase to development-related fees are a rounding, which is kind of in line with our penny policy.
Okay.
To round. We delete 1, 2, 3, 4 different fees around like simple things like water heaters and things like that.
I saw that.
We delete the sanitary sewer fee because it's collected by others. The backflow prevention device is collected by others. We do have the 3 fees that are there for residential, commercial, and the erosion control fees that are new for the program. Whoa, hello. And I believe there are no other fees that fall out of the CPI adjustment that are development related.
Okay.
Apologies. There are some one-time adjustments and some eliminations regarding condominium plats and surveying.
Okay.
Surveying cost to right size those, but out of the however many sheets this is, the rest are CPI adjustment.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you.
Commissioner West, go ahead.
You gave us 6 fee changes from elimination to one-time resets to different things here. And it's on 30-something plus, I think they're double-sided pages too. And it's like, get your readers out because it's pretty small print as we go over it and read it all. It might have been easier to parse some of this out and almost make a decision on each one of these 6 different. I mean, we aren't going to get there, and I'm sure of it. But if we are facilitating through our process the ability to spur economic development and good economic activity, you know, that makes me lean towards supporting this. It's just hard when we've seen well over $600 million annually net income migration out of Oregon recently. And I feel like that, you know, with the high personal income taxes, the CAT tax and corporate taxes, and this fee and that fee and this regulation, like it's in overzealous environmental regulations, it makes these projects over and over again. We hear not perform. I just had a builder tell me today at lunch, like, I can't get capital to invest in this housing project I want to. Nobody wants to invest in Oregon. And those are policy decisions that have been made over and over and over again through different layers of government and pile on top of each other. And maybe it's the responsible thing to do is to say, this is what we have to do to right the ship for Clackamas, but I am just like burdened by the reality of any increase at all And some of these I think need to be done, but it would have been interesting to talk about each one of these instead of like a giant package, all or nothing. Because there's some things we could debate and give pause over and mull over and exchange ideas on. And there's some things that are obvious, like, yeah, let's just eliminate that or do that. But we're kind of an all or nothing with how this is presented today, unless we make like a very nuanced motion, but it feels like one big package a little bit.
Well,
Well, I'm open to it not being, but yeah.
so that was going to be my question, one of my questions. So number one, can I ask you, without putting you totally on the spot?
Oh, please, go ahead. No.
In 2024, did you vote for this when they vote for doing a CPI increase?
I think this is our first CPI increase, right? Or we did have a fee
You
discussion?
mean the policy that
Policy
created
that-
this
yeah.
cost
Yeah.
recovery CPI? I don't remember if you were here that day.
I may have. I may have voted for the discussion that we're having
I'm
today.
just curious, because it's hard
Yeah.
being in this. We have a lot of discussions with developers. We have a lot of discussions with people who want to do things in Clackamas County. I might suggest that we approve this with the CPI adjusted and leave the new ones off the table and come back and bring them separately. Are we allowed to do that?
You can do whatever you wish. I have a suggestion for you. There's time. Dan and his staff can resort your chart by by the categories, if that's possible, and come back to you here in about 30, 40 minutes and do the other sessions. So you can see exactly by section as you're requesting to help you make your
Can I just
decision.
remove all the CPI adjustments?
Can I ask you a really quick one question on?
Yes.
Just remove all of them?
Yes.
You had the questions around the new real estate fees that are brand new because of the Supreme Court. We've had lots of policy discussions around this executive session, public or whatnot. Those are basically closing costs, they look like to me, right? To manage those properties, to get them back on the market, to manage them the way the courts have dictated that counties manage it. There's closing costs basically, or costs to do those properties in a new way that we haven't necessarily had to do. Kinda.
It's cost of service to at least maintain them while they're in our care.
Yeah.
With an emphasis on minimizing those. So no longer are we going out, having discussions around a piece of property, cleaning them up and reselling them. It's congratulations. We've got this gem right here that nobody wants to buy, and we're gonna sell that gem right here that nobody wants to buy. We're not investing money in it anymore.
Okay.
So we're trying to minimize the costs that we're investing in those properties, not to overburden the property, but essentially to get it back onto market as quickly as possible.
And back on the tax rolls and back, yeah. Those fees make total sense to me, absolutely based on the Supreme Court ruling and what's come down to all counties. That is just a change in basically the law and how we approach this, so that makes sense to me. I don't mean to, like, Gary, put the county through I'm just like wrestling with this, so I'm not even saying that these aren't even things we need to be doing, but yeah. It's just not the easiest decision.
I mean, I think there's a much larger conversation, I don't think we can get that all done today. I mean, I think that one of the discussions I wanted to have too really had to do with our parks and some of the unimproved parks, that there's just a porta potty there. A lot of citizens on very fixed income want to use the park, and they're screaming because there's a parking fee now. And I know it helps offset the costs for the other parks, and you and I have had that conversation, and whether or not really those unimproved parks that we should be charging. And that's, I think, a bigger discussion. And I was following up on a lot of the dog fees, right? And I mean, that thing is upside down. And I am glad. At first, as I looked at the dog fees, initially I was thinking, oh my gosh, you guys are charging a fortune to take dogs and adopt them. But that includes the VAT and the shots and everything, which, as I read into the fine print, I go, oh, okay, that makes more sense. So I think a lot of those, for me, trying to get an understanding about them. And honestly, it's also, everything has gone up. And time of staff and everybody working on these things is expensive. And that's why even asking you to do this analysis of the tri-counties or whatever, I even have hanks about that, just because it's, your time is valuable. So Commissioner Helm had a comment.
No, I don't think you turned my light off.
Okay.
I think I'm good. Thank you.
So the comparison, really quick, if I can just speak to that, is irrelevant to me. And 9 times out of 10, we're the lowest. It's what is the true cost? And it's making sure you defend the true cost. And it's a true cost, it's a reasonableness check against, I think you had Bronson and Rueda up here talking about, is it a reasonable expense?
Yeah.
And in our eyes, it's like, do we have any fees that are so out of line with the rest of the region? Let's do a deeper dive on that, because either one, we're doing something different, wrong or right, but it's the job costing component of our work, which is important. You've got to be able to defend the fact that that's the cost to provide that service. Not at its highs or at its lows, but whatever that average is. So anyway.
Yeah, and I just to respond to that, I mean, I see your point, but for us to basically meet with business leaders and to be able to sell that point, that we are the lowest in the Tri-County, or we're, you know, one of the top lowest ones in the entire state, and we're trying to keep our costs down. And that's another incentive to kind of come here. So anyway, that's just a thought, but.
So what I propose is you're going to pause on this section. Dan, if your staff can work in 30 minutes or less, please remove all the CPI-adjusted fees and fines. There should be approximately 50 left. That's much more manageable. We'll bring that document back to you and show it on the screen and come back to you at the end. Can you also put a note of the certification exclusion for the clerk's office? Put that in your chart too?
Yep.
So the board can see that in writing. Is that okay, commissioners? So we're going to skip this and come back to it.
Yes. Wait for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Moving on, next is Health, Housing, and Human Services. This is specifically requests for fees and fines related to resolution services and health centers. Presenting is Mary Rumbaugh, Director of Health, Housing, and Human Services, along with Adam Freer, Deputy Director of the Children, Family, Community Connections Division. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Chair Roberts and Commissioners. So we're going to take this, we will split the conversation because these are two separate divisions, but under this one topic. So starting with resolution services, we are requesting that the board approve an updated hourly rate for voluntary, non-mandated services provided through our resolution services program. The vast majority of resolution services work is court-ordered or grant-funded and provided at no cost to the participants, and about 85% of our referrals fall into this category. However, there is consistent demand from the public for voluntary mediation and facilitation services beyond what the courts require. When residents request these services, they are provided the same trained, highly skilled mediators, but on a fee-for-service basis. While the proposed rate increase may seem significant, it is 40%, increasing from $125 an hour to $175 an hour. This fee has not been increased since 2018, and it still remains significantly under market within the region. The average market, when we look at our analysis, is actually $250 an hour. So we are significantly less than the region. So the increase will help us maintain service levels following the elimination of county general fund support when resolution services was integrated into H3S. Without it, the program would need to reduce services over time and would leave residents without an affordable alternative to other costly mediation services offered elsewhere. I will pause and answer any questions, and I do have Adam Freer, our CFCC director, with us as well.
All right. Commissioner West, go ahead.
How did you guys come up with the one, it's still significantly under the medium, where it starts at 250, 175 is still a pretty significant, why not 200? Like, why did we get to 175?
Great question. We did an analysis of our actual costs, which was around 135, and we wanted to be able to project out further, recognizing that we want to be able to sustain and potentially even grow our program.
Okay.
However, we also recognize that we serve a lot of the low income people who would not be able to normally afford the 250. So we want to keep our costs as low as we can while still covering our expenses.
You think the 175 allows the team to have enough cushion to grow the service?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner.
That's it?
Good.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right. Is there a motion on this?
I move to approve the proposed changes to resolution services and health centers fees.
You've not discussed health centers yet, but if you want to make a motion, that's great.
Oh,
There's two separate sections.
oh, this
we're
is
gonna
the
talk about.
other, this, oh,
There's two
Is there
parts
two
of this.
motions or one
oh, there's
motion?
two motions.
You wrote it
Oh.
as a single motion. You could either separate the motions or please wait for Mary to talk.
Okay,
Why don't we
okay.
wait
I
and
don't like
just
these
discuss
package
this?
deals.
So I will just jump into then health centers, and I do have Sarah Jacobson also in the audience, Health Centers Director, to answer any questions that you might have. But let me, and she actually is right here with us. So the proposal in front of you today is somewhat administrative in capacity. So the proposed updates to the fee schedule will have minimal impact on clients and patients. The goal of the proposed updates really is about maintaining compliance with federal, state, and program-specific grant requirements for cost recovery and coding accuracy. So we last updated our fees in 2017, and we intentionally held flat during the COVID years, even though healthcare delivery, billing standards, and compliance requirements were continuing to evolve. So to come into alignment with these changes, staff is proposing to update fees to the 70th percentile of regional rates in Clackamas County. This level remains below the true cost of care, but it represents a balanced approach. We are improving cost recovery, updating our codes to align with current healthcare delivery, while also minimizing impact on patients. In August of last year, staff met with County Administrator and Finance Director to discuss long-term cost recovery. We agreed on 3 key principles. Full cost recovery is not feasible without creating access barriers. Annual CPI increases do not meaningfully improve revenue and can negatively affect patients. And periodic fee schedule updates like this one are necessary to maintain compliance with billing and coding requirements. Today's proposal reflects this shared approach. Additionally, it should be noted that the Community Health Council reviewed the proposal in August and supports the recommended changes as well. So we are recommending approval of the proposed fee changes for integration into the health center's fee schedule. And as noted, Sarah Jacobson, our health centers director, is here if you have any questions.
I just had one comment here, and that is, it's really super helpful, your comparison. I just want to say that. We're both kind of commenting on that. So, I mean, you do have Washington County, Multnomah County, Lane County, Deschutes County, Benton County, and Marion County, and the different fee structures in that, which to me is really helpful, really kind of looking across the board there. So that was the only comment I had. Commissioner Helms, do you have anything else?
Did the Health Council have any, they gave their thumbs up, but did they have any pause or concerns that were discussed while they were deliberating?
I can answer that, Commissioner. Hello, I'm Sarah Jacobson. I'm the Health Centers Division Director. They did have some pause simply because they are a consumer majority board as well. So, of course, they take that responsibility very seriously. So we did have robust discussion around the need. They understand the need to raise the fees. And at the end of the day, they were all unanimously in support.
Oh, good.
It's good to know.
It is good to know.
Fantastic. Well, I think you want to redo your motion?
Now I'll try it again. I move to approve the proposed changes to resolution services and health center fees.
I'll second.
All right, Commissioner Helm has moved to approve the proposed changes to the resolution services and health center fees. Commissioner West has seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Andrew. I will now recess as the Board of Commissioners and convene as the Board of Health. Thank you both for coming today. Gary, what's next?
You are now sitting as the Board of Health for Clackamas County. You're still discussing fees and fines. This is fees and fines for environmental health. Presenting again is Mary Rumbaugh, Director of Health, Housing, and Human Services, and Kim LaCroix, Public Health Division Director. Go ahead, please.
Hello again. So environmental health is a state-mandated prevention-focused public safety program, and this board has directed that program fees operate on a full cost recovery model. I do want to acknowledge up front that this will be a difficult conversation. Every time we talk about fees, we are mindful of the real impact on businesses and facilities that are essential to our local economy.
At the same time, we're balancing two realities that are directly connected. First, the desire to avoid adding costs for regulated businesses, and secondly, the reality that when program costs are not fully covered, staffing reductions follow. This results in environmental health shifting from prevention problems to reacting and only after harm has potentially occurred. In 2023, we worked with the board to implement fee increases beginning in 2024 to address costs that had been held flat during COVID years. Those increases were thoughtful, appropriate, and based on the best information at the time. Since then, however, cost pressures have accelerated beyond what was anticipated. We have experienced significant increases in PERS rates, rising indirect and allocated costs, and substantial growth in the Oregon Health Authority remittance fee. Taken together, these pressures have outpaced prior adjustments and have put the program once again in a place where full cost recovery is not possible without a fee increase. This proposal also includes fees related to environmental health enforcement. While the first two fines had already existed under the former Community Health Division, additional civil penalties for operating without a required public health license are being added for the first time. County Council had recommended that the board approve formally adopting these statutorily defined penalties, completing the enforcement framework previously authorized by the board in County Code 8.04, and ensuring compliance with the administrative rule and OHA requirements. When considering this proposal, it's also important to be clear about the alternative. Not increasing fees does not relieve financial pressure on businesses. In fact, in practice, it reduces our ability to provide education, technical assistance, and early intervention, which can lead to more violations, more enforcement actions, and ultimately more costly outcomes for operators. Finally, the county is not an outlier in facing this challenge. Comparable counties are making similar decisions as they work to support small businesses while maintaining public safety. Multnomah County recently approved a 33% increase for 2026, and Benton County approved a 14% increase in 2025, with only 88% of program costs covered by fees and the remaining balance subsidized by their general fund. We are recommending this adjustment to preserve a prevention-focused, fully compliant environmental health program that protects the public, supports businesses, and aligns with the board's longstanding direction on full cost recovery. And as noted, I do have Kim LaCroix here with me to answer any questions.
Any questions?
I do.
You do, go ahead.
The balancing act between maintaining service levels for the environmental health program and still continue to do a good job at that. It says in the report here that OHA audit received exceptional scores in all categories related to community safety. OHA specifically noted that the current staffing levels are adequate and appropriate to meet regulatory and public health obligations, but reducing staffing would place compliance at risk. So it sounds like we're just kind of on the edge there of where we need to be. So once again, not a fun conversation, but I'll be supporting this increase. Not really a question. It wasn't, more of a statement.
We will take it.
Thank you, Mary.
All right, if there's no other questions, is there a motion?
I don't have a script in front of me. I don't know why.
Page 16.
I move to approve the proposed change to the environmental health fee.
Second.
All right, Commissioner West has moved to approve the proposed change to the environmental health fee. Commissioner Allen seconded that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please call the poll.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0, Mr. Chair.
And thank you both.
Thank you.
I'll now adjourn as the Board of Health and convene as the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District Board. Gary?
You're now sitting as the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District Board of Directors. This is still fees and fines review, this time for NCPRD. Kia Selly, the Director of the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District, will present. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Gary. Good afternoon, Chair Roberts and Directors. My name is Kia Selly. I'm the NCPRD District Director. I'm here today to request board consideration of fee increases above the 2.9 CPI fees that are new as well as fees that are proposed to be eliminated. NCPRD relies on fees to offset the cost of providing recreation programs, facility rentals, and services to the community. To set fees, we follow 4 basic principles. First, we endeavor to be affordable and accessible to the community that we serve. Second, we work to be competitive with similar service providers in the region. And honestly, we often provide those services and programs at a lower cost than other regional providers. Third, we work to maximize the value for tax-paying district residents as compared with those that reside outside of the district. And lastly, we work to recover the full cost of delivering these services and programs. Fee adjustments are required periodically to align with operating cost increases such as labor and utility costs and direct cost increases such as vendor costs. These fee increases are really necessary for our financial sustainability as well as for our continuity of service. The proposed new fees and fee increases over the CPI, as well as those eliminated fees, let me be clear because there are almost 7 pages of fees. The new fees and fee increases over the CPI are highlighted in yellow, and the fees to be eliminated are actually struck through. I've also included fees that are proposed to increase in alignment with the CPI and those fees that remain unchanged. I've kept those in the fee schedule so that you can just see everything together for context. NCPRD is specifically proposing 53 new pricing tiers and corresponding fees. Additional pricing tiers are proposed to provide more flexibility in program offerings based on community needs and wants. But even more importantly, getting back to this discussion about price, it allows us to fine-tune pricing so that we can maintain affordability and accessibility, competitiveness within the marketplace, as well as work to recover the costs of delivering those services and programs. We introduced this concept of tiered fee pricing last year, and it was so successful that we are adding to those tiers, but we will work to limit any new tiers within this structure going forward because we recognize that we have a pretty complex system at this point in time. We're also proposing to increase 25 existing fees over the CPI. So of the 25 fees proposed for these increases, 10 are being increased by 25 cents each. For example, water aerobics class increased from $6.75 to $7 per class. And then several fees are rounded to the nearest dollar to reduce administrative burden and cash handling complexity. And the remaining increases are due to higher operating and direct costs for the program, such as labor, utility, material, and supply costs. NCPRD is also proposing elimination of 29 fees due to a number of reasons. Some of these previous fees are being consolidated within the new tiered structure. There might be a lack of use or program changes. So, for example, the swim lesson program fee for a group of lessons will transition from the session fee to a per class fee, and that gives staff greater flexibility to expand and schedule offerings. And then for context, 29 fees will remain unchanged. And most of these fees are in the tiered system. And then lastly, the 97 fees that you see, it just says align with CPI. Those will increase again in alignment with the board-approved policy of increasing as per the current year CPI, which is 2.9. And that's it for the fee schedule. Thank you for considering this proposal. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. And Commissioner West.
I don't see any pricing structure for veterans or active military service in our parks fees. I know that's a common thing that if you are a disabled veteran, then you don't have a lot of fees. And we're thankful for your service, all of our military members. But I just don't see anything that speaks to that. And then the other question is how did we land on the Red Cross as our lifeguard provider? I know that one that's very well thought of and a national leader is Ellison Associates, which is done by a lot of municipal pools, water parks, beaches utilize them. I'm just curious to why we have landed on Red Cross and if there's an affordability, if it's an affordability issue or if if it's competitive, I don't know. I think those are my two things.
Well, thank you for those questions, Director West. Gary, if I might invite a staff person to join me, I think she might have the answers. So joining me is Candy Ho, NCPRD Recreation Services Division Director.
Hi, Chair and Board. Regarding the association with American Red Cross, I believe it may have been affordability when it was originally set up. It has been in place, and we have a new aquatic park manager. And this next year, one of the things he's evaluating is the different service providers. There are a couple more beyond Ellison Associates as well that he'll be reviewing. But we've had a long-standing, our facility, is basically has been set up with Red Cross since its inception.
Okay. I know a lot of major water parks use Ellison Associates, and I'm sure there's others, but I just, affordability and what's a good fit, it's a safety thing. And then I guess my question around disabled veterans and veterans or military service within our fee structure.
We don't have anything in place at this time, and we have, we'll do things on Veterans Day. We'll have some discounted swims or things like that, but we don't have any additional discounts or anything that's currently in our system.
I'd like to propose to the board that we implement that for service members and then some type of heavily reduced or no fee memberships for disabled veterans. And I know that this board's trying to be that much more aware of our service members and with their sacrifice, and we've done a lot of work there. So I like us to look at that if the board is open to it.
That's fine. That's separate from today's discussion.
Yeah, just throwing it out there. Yeah.
Right. Right. Well, seeing no other questions.
I do.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Yes,
missed you
I'm sorry.
twice.
That's all right. I'll just start punching you in the shoulder here. Thank you. And is it Candy?
Yes.
Right. And I know that you said that a lot of these tiers were added last year. Can you kind of explain the tiers to me, since I'm not familiar with why there's so many and where the breaks are? I mean, that's a lot.
The way the tiers are set up, our programs are set up with a cost recovery. So it includes all the direct costs of the program, materials, supplies, instructors, the registration cost and such. The difference in the tiers kind of aligns with the hours of the program. So if a course runs for 12 weeks, an hour every week for 12 hours, another course may only be 8 hours, it's a half an hour.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes we'll change a program and offer it for 45 minutes just to bring the cost down, and that kind of finds that costability of where people can afford programming. So
Okay.
everything's calculated by the hour and the actual direct costs of those programs.
Thank you. That helps a lot, and that makes sense because, it's probably very complicated. Kia, do you know what kind of additional revenue this will bring in to NCPRD?
So we have not done an analysis of what these new fees will actually generate in terms of new revenue. That is an excellent question, Director Helm. I can say that fees typically represent about 7% of the total revenue in our budget. So it's relatively small, but it's important. And so I would say that next year, we definitely are going to be more in line with where we need to be. You might recall that before we received fee approvals last year, we had not increased fees since 2022. So, but we should do some sort of analysis to see kind of where we need to be. I would say, though, that really those guiding principles, those 4 guiding principles that I read off at the beginning that help us construct fees, that is still our North Star, because access and affordability, providing a value for district residents, being competitive within the market, and then recovering costs, ultimately, that's really how we want to direction our fee increases.
And may I, one more, three things. And I just, this is more of a comment than a question, because this is a difficult conversation to have up here. Affordability is a huge issue for people right now. I don't like doing this, but I also like providing the service to our citizens. So it's hard for me truly to vote yes on any of these fee increases, but I know they're necessary. And, but I just want people to know that this is, one of the things that I've learned since I've been sitting in this seat is how complicated the county is and the types of services that we provide, and that we are hit with the hardest questions on where to cut, what to add, what to take away, and people expect a lot, but there's a cost associated with that. So it's very tough, and you're in a tough position too, I know. So anyway, that was just another comment.
Any other thing? Right, I think we might be at a point for a motion then.
I move to approve the proposed changes to the NCPRD fees.
Second.
And is there any further discussion? I had one point I thought I'd make, and that is, I do very much appreciate the non-resident versus the resident structure, so thank you for doing that. I think it's, people come from all over to use your services, so I think that helps the residents of Clackamas County, so thank you very much for doing that. So with that being said, I think we're in a position to have the clerk call a poll for us.
Online, Director Savis.
Aye.
Director West.
Aye.
Director Schrader.
Aye.
Director Helm.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Gary, what's next?
All right, if you'd please convene as the Water Environment Services Board.
All right, I'll now adjourn as the North Clackamas Parks and Rec District Board and convene as the Water Environment Services Board.
You're now meeting as the Water Environment Services Board of Directors. We're still talking about fees and fines, this time for Water Environment Services. Presenting is Greg Geist, Director of Water Environment Services. Go ahead, Greg.
Thank you, Gary. Good afternoon, Chair and Directors. Thank you for the opportunity to present Water Environment Services proposed fee changes for the upcoming fiscal year. In alignment with the board's policy on cost recovery, most proposed fee changes are CPI only. WES is also proposing adjustments to 5 fees that are above CPI, along with a few housekeeping changes to improve the accuracy and clarity of our fee schedule. The elimination of 1 fee and no adjustments to 7 fees that are already adequately recovering costs. So the first 4 that are above CPI are around our extra strength charges. That's page 2 towards the bottom of that schedule. So customers that discharge wastewater at high concentrations at solids, which we call TSS, and organic material, which we call BOD, are required by rules and regulations to pay additional charges called extra strength charges, which are intended to cover the additional cost of treating that industrial strength waste. In 2024, WES completed a cost of service study, which calculated the full cost of recovery for treatment at about 34 cents per pound for the excess BOD and 24 cents per pound for the excess solids, or TSS. These rates are well below the average regional rates of about 67 cents to 72 cents per pound. However, as the calculated rates are significantly above the rates WES was charging, staff recommended a 3-year phase-in to reduce the impact of the increase on our industrial customers. Last year, the board approved for the first year of that phase-in. The increases we are proposing this year reflect the second year of that 3-year phase-in. And we're talking about businesses like Portland Bottling, Interstate Meats, Pacific Seafoods, total of 9 of those. We have 9 industrial customers who pay these fees. The proposed changes will continue to bring our rates up to reflect the actual cost of treating industrial wastewater to prevent further subsidization by non-industrial users, essentially residential customers. Again, we're phasing this in over 3 years, and we're well below our peers in how much we charge for this. All right, the other one that's above the CPI is our septic tank waste discharge permit. This is page 2, about halfway down. Right now, we charge $150 for 3 years. We're proposing to ramp, the actual cost of service is about $750 over that 3-year period. So for this year, what we're proposing is to make it an annual fee. So it goes from $150 to $300 and per year. And then we'll come back in the future and ultimately ramp it up to that $750 for the 3-year period. Oh, and by the way, so we would raise the permit fee, but the actual cost of these septic haulers, we charge 12 cents a gallon to accept, process, treat that waste. We are the lowest in the region. The average is about 18 cents a gallon. So we're a very popular septic receiving location for the whole region. So next one, page 1, about 3/4 of the way down. This is housekeeping. So right now we have 2 different line items, one for commercial industrial and then subdivision. And the way that we review those, it's the same. So we're just essentially not eliminating a fee, but we're consolidating to simplify our fee table. I think that's about it. Yeah, other than the CPI adjustments, those are our proposed changes. So we've been thoughtful about structuring these adjustments. The proposed changes will ensure Wes's fees reflect the true cost of providing services while keeping our rates equitable. Happy to answer any questions. And I would also remind folks, when we do raise fees significantly, we try to ramp them over time to make it easier.
Commissioner Helm has a question.
Yeah, Greg, thank you. This is kind of the shortest one of all of them, which is so nice. On the septic tank waste discharge permit, explain that to me again. That is what the haulers pay when they go to dump?
Right, okay, so there's the permit, which, because it's a regulatory program, we have to monitor it.
Oh, so this is the permit fee,
Right, yes,
right? Okay. And the 12 cents per gallon is staying. I just wondered, is that going to affect the people who have their tanks pumped?
To the extent,
Because that's a big increase to go from $150 every 3 years to $150 annually.
Right, but I'm trying to think of, I mean, that's the septic hauler's cost for the kind of the administrative and paperwork.
Right.
When they're bringing in a low, and we charge 12 cents a gallon.
Right.
So the vast majority of the cost to that consumer, that homeowner, is going to be in the amount that they pay, that the hauler pays us to treat that waste. So that $150 a year is spread over every customer that septic hauler.
I see. All right. Okay, that's
has.
okay. Over everything. All right. Thank you for that clarification.
Right. And I know they charge substantially more than 12 cents a gallon to have it pumped and hauled. So to me, that's really a great price, right?
When you're on a
Yeah.
septic, you know. It's
And I've had that work
expensive.
done, so I know it's.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know what they charge. I don't know that
Oh,
back
it's
end
a
of that.
lot.
the front
Oh,
end
yeah,
of it.
I mean, mine's, when I've had it done, typically well over 1,000. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
I look at 12 cents a gallon. Anyway, thank you very much. It was very helpful. And if there's no other questions, I'll turn to my directors.
I move to approve the proposed changes to Wes, fees, and fines.
Second.
All right. Commissioner West has moved to approve the proposed changes to West fees and fines. Commissioner Elm was seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, will you please call the poll?
Director Savas.
Aye.
Director Schrader.
Aye.
Director Helm.
Aye.
Director West.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
I'll now adjourn as the Water Environment Services Board and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners. Gary.
Could we take a short break? DTD is going to come back with the data you requested. You just need a few more minutes. Have a short break, please.
All right, we'll take a short recess and we'll be back in 8 minutes. Convene this policy session, and I'll just turn to Gary. Can you just bring up to speed where we're at?
Yes, thank you, Chair. We're back. You're now back meeting as the Board of County Commissioners. We're revisiting the last department now, that's Transportation and Development. When we left it, you asked, or I suggested, remove all of the CPI updated fees and fines, 600, 800 of them, so they're out of the document. All that now exists in your remaining document is new or increased above the CPI fees or fines. It's a short document. It's on the screen right now, and you have a paper copy in front of you. We'll post it online for the public as soon as this session ends. So Dan, can you walk through the document now of what's remaining, please?
Yep, I just want to affirm to the board, this is exactly, built from the exact copy you had previously, just removed all those fees that were CPI increased. So we're going to start on page 1. County Clerk, you're going to see removing the PLC, Public Land Corner Preservation Fund, and the PLC fee. As discussed, we're removing those from the County Clerk as they aren't a clerk's fee. They're collected by the clerk on behalf of the Land Corner program. So we felt it was more appropriate to add them in the PLC program, which you'll see upcoming. We've got a rounding component here that essentially is in line with the discussion around the penny policy. When we do fee collection, we not only collect fees at the individual level, we collect fees for other individuals. And so what we've done is we've rounded the totality of the fees, for example, the building permit, to round it and make it easier for not only for money collection for ourselves, but also rounding it down if it falls within that category. You're going to see all the DTD building codes. We're removing those references to those permits, and we've covered them through other areas. The water heater's been removed, building code plumbings, these have been removed and covered and eliminated because they're duplicate fees. I'm going to move to page 2. These 3 fees specifically relate to the requirement from DEQ to adopt a residential erosion control program the board approved earlier this year. These fees are exactly the same as Water Environment Services and others. You see some language here in dog services. This is essentially just housekeeping, so it adjusts the verbiage around what the fee is to make it clearer or broader. Let's see. Next is DTD Engineering, which is a reduction. We reduced their erosion control fee to make it in line with the residential fee above, and some general housekeeping with the title. Again, a reduction to make sure it was similar. This is DTD Engineering. Erosion control language is similar to the building codes language in regards to the fee. We had eliminate a fee for a certain size. We have an erosion control inspection fee. We have a one-time increase. These are fees that whenever you see one-time increase, those are essentially fees that we're job costing and are substantially below the actual cost to provide the service. So we try to adjust those at one time, again, so we can go into the CPI policy moving forward. You've got an elimination of a fee there for 25 plus acres, $25 plus over 1 acre because we increase the fee overall. We've got general fee, new fees here, and these new fees are basically for new facilities that we're bringing online so we've got new elements that people can rent. So example, the amphitheater people can rent, bunkhouses, et cetera. And we've got one-time reset, we did keep the CPI adjustments in here when there was a corresponding housekeeping amendment. So if you, for example, you see Barton bunkhouse rustic for camping, we removed the word Barton because we have multiple bunkhouses, so we kept those in there.
So you're on page 3 now?
Yes.
Talking about parks?
Yeah.
on the
Yes,
fee?
yeah, go ahead.
So when it's, we have the different, we have a bunkhouse rustic and bunkhouse standard. The new one is $75 a night. I'm just curious what's included because you can, it seems a little up there for like a camping type rental. I'm wondering what it is. Maybe it's totally appropriate, but
I have
no idea.
I would assume based on, and we research it, but I would assume based on the verbiage associated with it, rustic means fewer amenities associated with it. So if you look at a rustic component of our bunkhouses that we have, some may be as simple as 4 walls and a door. Others may have other amenities associated with it.
Is this like government camp?
Pardon me?
Is this up at government camp, the bunkhouses, like for skiing and?
No, I don't believe, I believe they're at Barton and I couldn't remember where else they are. But they're scattered in a couple of different sites.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And yeah, pardon me, Gary, it is page 3. And then, okay, DTD property disposition. I want to make one thing crystal clear. These are not fees that we charge anybody. These are fees we charge against the sale of the property.
Oh, okay.
So when,
They're like a real estate fee.
so if we have the property, we have costs associated with it, we memorialize those costs by the fees set in here. Then when it goes to auction, we collect those fees from the auction proceeds.
Got it.
Okay, my apologies. I should have done a better job
Thanks for that
explaining that.
clarification. No, that's
Yep.
because they're big numbers, right?
The public land corner, we have added, that's the fee we discussed adding. We have added verbiage in here. Certified copies of death records are exempt from fee. We added that language in the fee table. I'm on page 4, I believe now. This is deep. So we have a number of one-time increases for the county surveyor. So the county surveyor was almost similar to the discussion we had about septic some time ago. We've been holding off, trying to collect more accurate data, and we also had a turnover in our prior county surveyor and our newly hired county surveyor, and we didn't want to do that in the middle of that transition. You're going to see some one-time increases, some eliminations, some housekeeping verbiage in here. These are essentially, I mean, you talk about and these are solely associated with actions around surveying real property. So it would be boundary surveys, lot line adjustments, partitions and subdivisions, land, it's the creation or documentation of land boundaries for any entity within Clackamas County for real property. Moving to page 5, just continues with the survey amendments.
If I could interject just for a second, Commissioner
So,
Hill has
Ken,
a
yeah,
question.
since you're still on the surveyor thing, so, because that is a big jump, do we know how this 175 for the recording fees, the affidavit of plat, monumentation, how they compare to other counties?
I have a question in about that. I cannot sit here today, and I'm waiting for a text to actually confirm that right now. I believe they are less than, but I need to confirm that. I know the fact that the 77 was ridiculously low when we did job costed it.
And do you know when the last time the increase has taken place?
For this particular fee?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you. It has been a while. Last year, we did our first kind of major jump into the surveying fees as a whole. And then we had the recent reassessment with the addition of our new land surveyor. Okay. So if you give me a 5-minute recess, I can find out for sure, but we'll keep going for once. Maybe somebody's listening who can research the fact what our fees are for other areas.
Dan.
Yeah.
Forgive me, Chair. Can I ask you, certified copies of public records, first page, is that accurate? $15 up to $150? Or is that a typo? Middle of that page. Certified copies of public records, first page, currently $15.25, jumps to $150.
I think that is true because essentially we have to, staff has, and why do I need my county surveyor when I get, staff has to essentially take that public record and either coordinate or retrieve it from the recorder's office to affirm that, and then bring it back and provide it. So it's not simply a stamp that's done. There's an action that's done from our staff to go out and secure it and bring it back.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see.
Ask about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, can you give an example of a public record that would, just to retrieve it, would have cost $150? I had to go in for the military and get my marriage certificate or license from the county clerk's office. That was easy. They stamped it. They said it was official. I paid a fee for it. But this is different than that. Is this we have to go into the archives and dig for a while, or what would this look like in reality?
This just in context. These are land discussions about development, about separation of land.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think of. So for example, maybe there was they want us to go certify a record for maybe a quitclaim deed.
Okay.
And so that means our staff's got to go over, coordinate with the clerk's office, pull the document. Maybe, I'm not sure if we stamp it, I'm not sure what that looks like. But essentially then it's provided back to the individual who requests it.
Did we come up with that 150 by how many hours on average that takes? That is that's a real big jump. I don't know if the clerk I don't know if she would be able to shed light at all on just the process or.
I think she wants to.
Okay.
Thank you. Help us, clerk.
Hi there, Catherine McMullen, County Clerk. So the fees associated with certified copies, there's a fee for certification and then a fee per page. If it does require additional research, like going into archives for an older document, that's where the fees would be for staff time, for research time. So that $150 is going to be generally for those larger research projects that involve going into archives and finding things.
That explains it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
Easy peasy.
I appreciate that. I'm trying to really get an answer to the other one, but no one's listening right now. I'm on the last page. These are, you have reductions for the lot consolidation, elimination of some other fees, there's CPI adjustments, elimination. There is an increase in the condominium plat amendment review. It's just a matter of, that's a CPI adjustment though, with the deposit required.
Could you just explain what they do in that?
So for example, this is like a quiz. This is awesome. So imagine that you have a condominium. We had a condominium plat over off Sunnyside Road, and the members of the condominium homeowners association were looking to take the caretaker's unit and make it into a rentable unit. So you've got to go back and you've got to amend not only the hard copy of the condominium plat to illustrate it as not a caretaker's unit, but a sellable entity of area. And you've got to modify all the associated documents to represent that. And so that is what that adjustment's, as an example of what those adjustments might be. Some take land out, add land, things like that.
But it's more, it sounds much more complicated than, just.
Condominiums are ridiculously complicated, yeah. We've got property line adjustments. It's a one-time increase for actual cost. Again, these are job costed and also trued up against other regional costs to the best extent feasible. So that's it.
One quick question.
Oh, yeah.
When it says, just the language, make sure I want to understand it correctly. So let's say it's $4,116 minimum. So they put a deposit down, and if it's the actual cost, if it exceeds actually that amount.
Yes.
Or is that up to that amount? Not including your filing.
That is a minimum deposit required. And then what happens is if it goes above and beyond that,
they're
It's
charged
actual
additional.
cost and we build them.
Depending on that, but this is the bare minimum to do this process, period. It
End
could
of
be
story.
more, depending on the situation. Okay. There's just a number of those that are worded that way.
Yeah, and surveyor is actually
that's
one
what
of
I'm
our
asking.
biggest.
Both of these.
They actually do secure a lot of deposits, and it's actual cost in a lot of their work. And so it's the importance of our billing rate. We're tracking time on projects to make sure it's appropriate. And that's all work that they're doing with our job costing system, so.
Great. Commissioner Helmuth.
So the last page again, Dan, subdivision plat review jumped by a lot, as did the next one, PLA boundary survey outbounds review doubled. Those are developer costs, correct? I mean, those will be passed on to home buyers. Again, this is increasing the price of building,
Yes,
buying a home.
yes,
Why is it such a big jump?
it's actual cost. Most of those individuals are billing out at $200, $230 an hour. They're licensed, certified professional land surveyors. The PLA, or the boundary survey outbounds, essentially is a mechanism to adjust that boundary, which is a request from the surveyor, the individual property owner. The subdivision plat review, again, that's a minimum. That minimum is, especially for a subdivision, it's rarely the minimum.
Oh,
'Cause there's
so it's
always-
usually way above that.
Yeah,
I
and so it's
see,
almost
I
a
see.
security component to it, and
Oh.
versus, because you think about anything, a subdivision is 3 lots or larger,
Mhm.
and so by the time you do the survey, or reviewing the survey for that, 9 times out of 10, it's more than that.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
So these are truly minimums, often more.
Often, yes, and their actual costs are collected and they're charged above and beyond that based off the billing rate.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
But in response to the questions and concerns that were here, I think it was a good exercise, because a lot of the fees that fall into that concern about, and I've got other, I don't want to share it because we're behind schedule, but I've got other data about our SDC ranges and our rates that I had sent to me as well. There is little to no of the totality of fees that we have that are development related. There are little to few that are actually increasing above the CPI component that the board's approved, so.
Great, thank you. All right, well, I think we might be close to, unless there's, oh, did you?
I could start doing both sides if you want to.
I think you're closer.
I think I am too.
I think we're gonna fix that. So did you want to put that motion
Yeah,
back
we'll
up?
put a suggested motion on the screen if you're so inclined. Thank you, Dan, to you and your staff for quickly updating this document.
Yes,
Hope this
thank
is
you.
helpful for you commissioners, narrowed it down. But yes,
Very.
ask for a motion, please.
All right,
Oh.
so,
I reluctantly move to approve the proposed changes to DTT fees and fines, including the request to exempt the property land corner fee with the recording of death certificates as mentioned by staff, and schedule a public hearing for the public lands corner fee.
Second.
all right. Commissioner Helm has moved to approve the proposed changes to DTD fees and fines, including the request to exempt the property land corner fee with the recording of the death certificates as mentioned by staff, and schedule a public hearing for the public lands corner fee. It's been seconded by Commissioner Schrader. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks for your hard work, Dan.
Thanks for your patience with us, answering our questions. Thank you.
You have completed all the fees and fines proposals, and that is the last policy session for today, and that is your last piece of official board business for 2 weeks. Tuesday, March 3rd, you'll return. You'll be going to the National Association of Counties Conference this week.
Fees are tiring.
All right. Well, thank you, Gary, for all your work getting us ready for today, and this
I wanna go burn
concludes
them.
our policy session, and thank you all for joining us. We're adjourned.